Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching second and final part of What If Naruto Was Chosen by Angels after 2000 years. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Except for something that happened before he even entered the academy. Do you remember the tale of a boy who was brought back from that battle at Kikyo Pass? Enko asked. I do. Yes, if I remember correctly, the story was that a Jonin of the medical corps took in an enemy youth who had survived on the battlefield. And he's that child, Hiruzen replied. You appear to be very committed. I wish I could tell you to just leave everything to me. Kabuto thought as he glanced at Orochimaru before turning to face Naruto and Sasuke. Fun's fun, but technically I'm a spy here, and now is hardly the time to blow my cover. I would have liked to hang out with you for a while longer, but if I keep going, my old blood might start bubbling up. Additionally, this is ideal. If you will be in the audience, I can delegate the intelligence gathering task to you. Orochimaru. Sama. Since you were a young child, you have had to live a false life as my undercover agent. Orochimaru thought, the strain of always holding in your true self. Has it become too much for you? Are you ready to snap? Is your roiling blood aching to flow free? Get a hold of yourself. Have you forgotten Orochimaru? Sama's orders? A fellow player asked quietly. You guys can take it from here. Especially you, Yoroi, with your abilities. This next bit should be a piece of cake. It's the perfect opportunity for a real show of sheer brute strength. Considering how you resent my recent promotion, I would have thought you'd jump at the chance. Kabuto continued. You may think you're Orochimaru. Sama's favorite, but don't push it, Gaki. Yoroi replied. Before departing, Kabuto exclaimed, I got it, loud and clear, coach. He was thinking, I look forward with pleasure to the day of our next meeting. Sasuke-kun. You too. Naruto-kun, or should I say, chosen of regeneration. Since my name is Yoroi, I'll make sure there won't be anything for you to enjoy later, Yoroi thought. Sasuke glanced over his shoulder at Kabuto's retreating back until the curse mark on his neck abruptly began to hurt. Oh. As he raised his hand to the mark, Sasuke thought, another wave of pain. Sakura thought, oh, Sasuke-kun. I was scared of this. So, cough, looks like no one else is bailing out, Hayate replied. Sakura exclaimed, Sasuke-kun, maybe you should quit, too. Naruto turned to see Sasuke clutching his neck in agony. Sakura. Chan's right, Sasuke. That mark is dangerous, and there's no telling what could happen if you go and fight someone. Naruto replied. Shut up, exclaimed Sasuke. Sasuke-kun, I know that you're just barely able to contain the pain, said Sakura. I said, Sasuke began, but Sakura interrupted him. Sakura started to raise her hand, but Sasuke grabbed her wrist to stop her. You leave me no choice. If you won't listen to reason, I'm going to tell all the senseis about that mark, and then, she said. Keep your mouth shut. Not a word about the mark, said Sasuke. Why do you always have to act so strong? I can't bear to watch you suffer, Sasuke, said Sakura. It's my decision, and it's none of your business. This is my burden to bear, alone. Remember what I told you, Sakura, I'm an avenger. This is more than just a test for me, and I don't care whether I achieve the level of Chunin or not. Am I strong? Finding that out is all that matters to me now. I'm here to test myself against the best of the best. And the best opponents I could find are all around us, here and now. Not even for your sake, will I turn away from the path that leads to my dream, said Sasuke. Hey, Teme. Why the heck are you trying to act so cool? Replied Naruto. Sasuke exclaimed, Naruto, you're one of the ones that I want to fight, just before he experienced yet another pain. Hiruzen remarked, it's just as I'd feared, while watching Team 7. Ibiki called out, what can we do? Pull him out of the exam, quarantine him under the guard of Anbu agents, said Anko. Anko asked, and you really think he'll just go quietly if you order that? Kakashi replied, remember that he's a member of the Uchiha clan. Don't talk nonsense. I'll stop him by force if I have to. Any attempts he makes to manipulate his own chakra will provoke a reaction from that curse mark, forcibly drawing out and draining all his strength. It's the mark of a forbidden art, which debilitates the body of the practitioner. It's a miracle that a child like him is able to bear it at all. By all rights, it should have killed him already, Enko said before turning to the elderly Hokage. Hokage. Sama. I am still concerned about what Orochimaru said. Let young Sasuke proceed as he is, and we shall keep our eyes on him, Hiruzen responded. Hokage. Sama, exclaimed Anko. However, if the curse mark begins to spread and cause his power to rampage, then we shall indeed take steps to restrain him, Hiruzen concluded. Ibiki replied, yes, sir. Ah, well then, we'll begin the preliminaries, which consist of individual combat matches, as though this were part of a tournament. As there are a total of 20 combatants remaining, we will hold a total of 10 bouts. And the victors of those bouts will advance to the third exam. This is no holds barred combat. Each pair of combatants will fight until one of them is dead or unconscious, or admits defeat. Cough. As soon as you sense that your opponent is overpowering you, immediately concede your loss, if you value your life. Since we don't want a total blood bath on our hands, there may be cases, cough, where we ascertain that there is an undisputed winner and step in to end the match. But don't count on that. From here on out, the key to your fate is held in, said Hayate. Anko said into a microphone, open it. A wooden board on the wall opened to reveal an electronic scoreboard. This electronic score board. At the start of every round, we will display the names of the two combatants competing in that match, cough, so, not to hurry you all to the slaughter, but let's begin. We'll now announce the first two names, Hayate said, and everyone was waiting for the names to appear. Kurama no Kyuubi. I will only discuss the matches that I believe are significant, which are Rock Lee vs Gaara, Sasuke vs Yoroi, Naruto vs Kiba, and Hinata vs Neji. Sasuke Uchiha vs Yoroi Akato. Well, right away, isn't that right? Sasuke pondered. I couldn't have planned it more perfectly, hehe, Yoroi pondered. Oh, please don't, not Sasuke.kun, Sakura pondered. Sasuke and Yoroi moved forward and faced each other as Hayate went on. Akato Yoroi, Uchiha Sasuke. You two have been selected to compete in the first bout. Any objections? Hayate asked. Will the individuals whose names are listed on the board come forward now? None, Yoroi uttered. I'm fine, Sasuke declared. Now, all I can do is stand here and keep an eye on him. Sasuke.kun, Sakura pondered. Sasuke. Don't you dare lose now if you intend to fight me later, Naruto pondered. There's a problem with Sasuke.kun, Ino reflected. It's being caused by the curse mark, Dosu pondered. Sasuke. Good luck. Lee pondered. Prove your worth to us. Neji pondered. As the curse mark continued to hurt, Sasuke thought, the pan's not getting any better. Hey, it looks like the boy is hurting, Yoroi pondered. Everyone moved toward the stairs leading to the upper gallery as Hayate said, it's time for the first round to commence, alright. Cough. Everyone other than the two combatants should move up to the upper gallery now. As he passed the Uchiha, Kakashi remarked, Sasuke, don't use the Sharingan. How did you know? Inquired Sasuke on. If the curse mark on your neck is allowed to run rampant, the consequences will change your life, Kakashi stated. When Sasuke said, I figured. Kakashi said, please don't forget that if they see any sign of that, the match will be suspended. And I'll be forced to stop you. He then continued to walk. Suspended? Before raising his hand to the mark, Sasuke pondered, it appears that the mark reacts to my chakra. For the sake of this match, not only is the Sharingan forbidden, but I will also need to use my chakra sparingly, even for the standard jutsus, as the mark will take control of my mind and use all of my power if I use it carelessly. It's unfortunate that Yoroi's skills are the worst you could encounter, Sasuke.kun. Orochimaru pondered. Now, what should I do? Sasuke pondered. Don't push yourself too hard, Sasuke, Kakashi thought. Hayate said, all right, please begin, and Yoroi made the sign for the Tora hand. He said, shall I start? Yoroi's right hand was smeared with blue chakra as he took 3 shuriken from his weapons pouch and hurled them in the direction of the Uchiha after Sasuke said, go for it. Feeling a fresh wave of pain in his neck, Sasuke drew out a kunai and used it to deflect the shuriken back towards Yoroi. As Yoroi ducked the shuriken, he stumbled. Subsequently, Yoroi emerged above the Uchiha and tried to strike him, but Sasuke rolled aside, causing the auto spy to fall to the ground instead. Then, using his feet to push Yoroi's arm to the ground, Sasuke drove his kunai into the ground. Yoroi then grabbed Sasuke's shirt just below the collar. Is my strength waning? As he attempted to push Yoroi's hand away, Sasuke thought. Before punching the Uchiha away, Yoroi raised his arm and firmly pressed his elbow against Sasuke's stomach. Why? Why? Where had all my strength disappeared to? As Yoroi jumped forward and seized his forehead, Sasuke pondered. Sakura shouted, Sasuke-kun! As Sasuke attempted to push back Yoroi's arm but felt his strength abruptly leave him, causing his arms to fall lumpily to the ground. This is. Before shouting, Sasuke, he's absorbing your chakra. Get him away from you. Naruto paused to think. Exactly. Absorbing another person's chakra is Yoroi's unholy gift. It's a masterful technique that allows him to absorb an opponent's mental and physical energy just by pressing the palm of his hand against their body. And Sasuke-kun, you will be left with no choice but to use the force of my curse mark once all of your chakra has been consumed. Open yourself up to all that delicious power, that's all. You will undoubtedly perish if you attempt to thwart this course. Orochimaru pondered. Before kicking Yoroi out, Sasuke remarked, Oh, you, son of a. As Sasuke stood up, Yoroi remarked, Heh, imagine a little vermin like you, having any strength left to oppose me. I won't even have the energy to move if he contacts me again because that was too close. He's trying to keep me within his grasp, so this is my last chance, but how do I do that? Before recalling something Naruto had said, Sasuke pondered. Rewind. Before our battle, Cress.San taught me the techniques, Demon Fang and Tiger Blade. And he also told me about something called over. Limit, said Naruto. Over. Limit? Inquired Sakura. Hi, when in over. Limit, one's senses are several times stronger than they would normally be. And the best thing is that you don't even need to use chakra to perform techniques, said Naruto. Kurama no Kyuubi. In this story, they don't need to use any chakra while in over. Limit. I'm not sure if that was the case in the games or not. Sasuke questioned, we don't need to use chakra? Naruto responded, nope, he taught me how to enter over. Limit too. Sasuke said, could you teach us? Sure, but it won't be easy. Even after knowing how to do it, it still took a month before I were able to do it, replied Naruto. The end of the flashback. That's it. Before closing his eyes to focus, Sasuke pondered. Gaara questioned, Uchiha Sasuke, this is all he can do? Sasuke. Lee pondered. Yoroi sprinted in the direction of the Uchiha, thinking, now I'll absorb all of his chakra. He exclaimed, hey, you couldn't have picked a worse time to let your mind wander. It's this. This must be the end, Hayate thought. The Uchiha opened his eyes abruptly as Yoroi closed in on Sasuke, and everyone was shocked to see that a shockwave had sent Yoroi flying backwards while Sasuke was enveloped in a vibrant aura. As he gazed down at his hands, Sasuke thought, this power is incredible, even more so than when I used the curse mark. That aura. Is it too much? But I didn't get to use it for a whole month, Naruto pondered. Ino thought, it's strange that I can't feel Sasuke-kun's chakra anymore. How did he? Just before Sasuke abruptly disappeared, Yoroi thought, what? I didn't see any punches or kicks, at least I don't think I did. Yoroi was then abruptly struck from behind, sending him flying to the other side of the room before he could get to his feet. As Neji activated his Byakugan, Sasuke remarked, as you can see, I'm a lot more powerful now than I was before, you don't stand a chance. Is it impossible for me to see his Kirakuki? To be honest, I can't see past his skin, Neji pondered. What's happening? Where'd he get that power from? Asked Anko. Ibiki questioned, could it be some new form of curse mark? Before thinking, I've seen this before, but I only thought the Shodai, Naidame, Yandaime, and Madara were able to do it, Hiruzen exclaimed, no, it's not. With the exception of Naruto, Hiruzen, Kakashi, and Orochimaru, everyone was taken aback when Sasuke unleashed a fireball at Yoroi, saying, Kaden. Gukakyo no Jutsu. He didn't weave any hand signs, not even the Tora sign. What? What's going on? The curse mark ought to have spread to his entire body by now. As Yoroi ducked the fireball, he thought. Before a red glyph that read, "Fireball," appeared on the floor beneath him, Sasuke pondered, I wonder if I can. Then, 3 balls of fire shot in Yoroi's direction. He avoided the first one but found himself squarely in the path of the second. When the fireball struck him, the other 2 shot in his direction like heat. Seeking missiles. Then the auto spy collapsed to the floor, unconscious. As the aura surrounding Sasuke faded, Hayate declared, Uchiha Sasuke is the champion of the first battle, and advances past the preliminaries to the next level. It has a 5-minute time limit, isn't that right? The Uchiha pondered as Kakashi materialized beside him. Then he thought, hey, well done. His method reminded him of Minato. Sensei's over. Limit. How was it taught to Sasuke? And why did those fireballs appear at the end? Before thinking, I'm surprised he was able to not only enter over limit, but also use fireball. I have to admit that the members of the Uchiha clan are quite amazing, Naruto exclaimed. Way to go, Sasuke. Sakura thought, I'm so happy, Sasuke.kun. The top rookie from the previous year, Hyuga Neji, is expected to be Uchiha Sasuke this year. Who would prevail in a fight between them? Tenten pondered. Kankuro saw how Gaara was staring at Sasuke and thought, not this again. Ooh, Sasuke.kun. You're the best, Ino replied. I'm starving. My stomach could not be more empty, said Choji. That's all. We're finished. Shikamaru pondered. Wow, exclaimed Hinata. Kiba exclaimed, come on, it wasn't that great. Orochimaru thought, licking his lips, brilliant. As 2 others carried Yoroi away, one of Konoha's medical corps members remarked, Uchiha Sasuke, we must escort you, too, and put you under the care of the medical corps, so you can get the best possible treatment. Before bending down to Sasuke's ear, Kakashi remarked, you have no idea what you'd be getting yourselves into. I'll handle him. He can come with me right now, and I'll seal away the curse mark. Well then, right. Let's get the next match going, Hayate replied. Can't this wait? I want to watch everyone else compete, Sasuke replied. As everyone else waited for the next 2 names to be called, Kakashi said, no, don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. This thing is spreading like a disease, and it's already close to the point of no return. I let you have your own way once, and it's only made you greedy. Kakashi and Sasuke then began to leave. Abumi Zaku versus Aburame Shino. Gazing at the names, Zaku asked, who's that loser? Sakura looked down at her crush and thought, Sasuke.kun. After Zaku and Shino had descended from the upper gallery, Hayate exclaimed, all right, everyone. It's time for the second match of the prelims to begin. It's Otto, the ninja who battled Sasuke.kun and suffered 2 broken arms in the process. What hope does he have to fight? Sakura pondered. Hinata remarked, I hope Shino.kun is up to this. He's pretty tough. Out of all the people here, he's the only one I wouldn't want to go up against, said Kiba. Gaara, Kiba. What about Kura no Kyuubi? Hayate said, okay, you may begin. So, Zaku, how do you think you'll defeat him? Dosu thought. I can't wait to see, but then he saw that Orochimaru had shunned away. Tower, Kakashi, Sasuke, and the Forest of Death. While Kakashi was writing seals that emanated from Sasuke's curse mark in 10 different directions, Sasuke was sitting shirtless on the ground. After finishing writing the seals, Kakashi stood behind the Uchiha and weaved a series of hand signals, saying, that's it, just a little longer and it'll be all done. Kakashi slammed his hand down on the curse mark and said, Fuja Hoin. All of the seals then abruptly moved up the Uchiha's body and formed a tiny ring around the mark. Even if the curse mark awakens again, the power of this Fuja Hoin seal should contain it. Sasuke. The foundation of the seal's power is the strength of your own will. You have to want it to work, and you must believe in your own power to control it. If you don't, the curse could have its way again. Kakashi said before Sasuke went to sleep. You're so worn out, I barely recognize you. He turned slowly as someone behind him said, so, you've mastered the art of sealing, Kakashi.kun. Looks like you're all grown up. You're, Kakashi uttered in front of Orochimaru. A lot of time has passed, Orochimaru remarked. Orochimaru, uttered Kakashi. Pardon my rudeness, Kakashi-kun, but I have no use for you. I'm here about the boy behind you, Orochimaru replied. Kakashi questioned, what do you want with Sasuke? Kakashi realized what he was after. Orochimaru said, oh, you know how it is, two guys have something, and a third one's just got to get it, too. You haven't had it for very long yourself, you know. Know what it is yet? It's the Sharingan. I must possess Uchiha blood. What for? Inquired Kakashi. The newly created village of Otogakure, that is my home, you see, is it becoming clear? Orochimaru replied. Kakashi remarked, so it's just your greed and delusions of grandeur. I suppose you could say that. Good help is so hard to find these days, and I need all sorts of pawns at my disposal. Orochimaru replied. Kakashi questioned, so, you think that Sasuke is one of your pawns? Orochimaru remarked, oh, he's a very special pawn, a real keeper, unlike the boys who are going through the rigors of the exam process right now. Those boys are disposable. Kakashi then made a few hand gestures before placing his left hand on the underside of his elbow and holding his right arm down. The sound of 1,000 birds filled the room as Kakashi uttered, stay away from Sasuke. Even if you are one of those 3 ninja, the man I am today can take you down. As lightning flashed in his right hand. Orochimaru then burst out laughing, and Kakashi questioned, what's so funny? Orochimaru remarked, you say one thing, and do another. What? Inquired Kakashi. The curse. Binding seal you placed upon Sasuke-kun was futile. When a heart is sufficiently focused and ruthless in its desires, then, for good or evil, the end will justify any means. Sasuke-kun possesses just such a heart, the heart of an avenger. Orochimaru replied. As Kakashi turned off the rakery, he said, so that's how you got your hooks into him, but Sasuke's not, but Orochimaru interrupted him as he turned to leave. Before abruptly sending a wave of killing intent at the Jonin, he continued to walk away, saying, a day will come when he will seek me out, hungry for power. Meanwhile, I believe you were offering to kill me. Care to try? Or are you all talk? Did I make a mistake? Am I some sort of idiot? Kakashi pondered. Tower, arena, and forest of death. Zaku was unconscious on the ground, both arms blown off at the elbows. The winner is Aburame Shino, Hayate exclaimed, he's finished. A couple of medical ninja then arrived and carried him away. Before Shino approached them, Kurenai thought, that guy freaks me out. Hinata remarked, so, Shino-kun, nice job. Kiba said, that was awesome. Shino responded, yep. So, don't let the team down. Kiba shouted, hey, and then thought, all of a sudden, he's acting like he's in charge of us. So, we're moving on to the next match. Cough, Hayate replied. Naruto cried out, Kakashi. Sensei. As Kakashi appeared there using Shunshin no Jutsu. Yo! Exclaimed Kakashi. What do you mean, yo? Kakashi. Sensei, tell us about Sasuke-kun. Is he alright? Sakura screamed. Before reflecting, Kakashi remarked, he's fine, sound asleep in the infirmary even as we speak. Under the guard of an Anbu team, but asleep. Just as Naruto saw that the next 2 names appeared on the scoreboard, Sakura sighed with relief. Masumi Tsurugi versus Kankuro. Finally, it's my turn, Kankuro pondered before making his way down. Baki thought, Kankuro isn't taking this seriously at all. Stupid. Gaara pondered. Him again. As Naruto recognized the older boy, he thought. After the 2 competitors had gotten down, Hayate said, all right, then, you may begin. Even though you're just a little brat, I'm not letting down my guard like Yoroi did. In fact, let me make one thing perfectly clear, you'd be better off forfeiting the match before you get hurt. This won't take long at all. Masumi responded. Kankuro put down the bandaged object he had been carrying on his back and said, I agree, I'll be finished with you in no time. The fight ended quickly as Masumi encircled Kankuro and squeezed until the Suna. Nin's neck broke. However, it seemed to be nothing more than a puppet that had been momentarily transformed to resemble Kankuro. The real Kankuro was concealed in the bandages, and he forced the puppet to squeeze Masumi in his place. Due to Masumi's inability to fight back, the winner of the match is Kankuro, stated Hayate. Two of them against one guy, isn't that against the rules? Isn't it, Kakashi? Sensei, replied Naruto. Kakashi stated, not in this instance, Naruto. The other guy is just a golem of some sort. Kugetsu no Jutsu. He manipulates a lifeless doll by projecting the power of his chakra. The golem is a weapon, just like shuriken, Sakura clarified. Hayate stated, in any event, it's time for the fourth match. Whoa, whoa. This is like a never-ending freak show, said Naruto. Kakashi remarked, look who's talking. Good one, sensei, Sakura exclaimed, laughing. Sakura's eyes widened as Kakashi pointed up at the scoreboard and said, I don't think you'll be laughing in a minute, Sakura, look. Sakura Haruno versus Ino Yamanaka. Soon after, the two kunoichi appeared in the center of the room, facing one another. Before Sakura removed her Hite.8, Ino remarked, so, Sakura, it's you and me, going head.to. Head. I never saw it coming. WH. What the? Exclaimed Naruto. Yes, Ino, what are you going to do? Asuma pondered. Understand this, I'm never letting you anywhere near Sasuke.kun, Sakura replied. What? Shouted Ino. You're not even his type, and I'm not the weak, needy little girl I used to be. You're not even on my radar now, Sakura responded. Sakura, I think you've forgotten who you're talking to. Don't cop an attitude with me, you little crybaby, Ino replied. Ah, man. Sakura just crossed the line. That Ino chick scares me silly, said Naruto. Sakura's not trying to throw her weight around, and she's not the kind who'd bully someone just to be cruel. She's just making sure Ino is too riled up to think of going easy on her, for old time's sake, Kakashi responded. Naruto questioned, what are they getting so intense about? Kakashi sighed. Guy gave him a glare when Kakashi said, well, Naruto, rivalry is a tricky business, not that I would know. He simply couldn't see that he was the same way about Sasuke. I understand, Sakura. Let's settle this amicably. As she removed her Hite.8 and Sakura and she wrapped them around their foreheads, Ino pondered. It was a much longer fight than the last one. Throughout the match, Sakura and Ino appeared to be on an equal footing until Ino, apparently in a fit of rage, chopped off her hair with a kunai and threw it to the ground before channeling chakra through it to paralyze Sakura while she performed the Shintension. Sakura appeared to have lost the battle, but Naruto was able to make Ino release the technique and return to her own body by using Sakura's will, or more precisely, her inner Sakura. Sakura was given the title, Strong Will. Someone with such a strong will that even the Yamanaka's mental tricks can be defeated. Now that they had reached their breaking points, Sakura and Ino rushed at one another with all of their remaining strength. However, both were knocked out at the end of the battle. Before Kakashi and Asuma swooped down to collect their respective students, Hayate declared, neither candidate is able to continue. As a result of simultaneous knock-outs, neither combatant in the fourth battle moves past the preliminary round. It's okay, Asuma said, taking Ino in his arms. Kakashi picked up Sakura and said, I've got you, before they both shunshined back to the upper gallery and placed them next to one another. Hey, Ino! Shouted Shikamaru as he and Choji ran. Naruto inquired, are you all right, Sakura-chan? Neither one is hurt badly enough to need treatment from the medical corps. They should both regain consciousness within the next half hour. But I'm impressed by both of them, according to Asuma. Yeah, Naruto and Sasuke were both doing well, and now even fragile little Sakura has shown amazing growth. I know you've all been through a lot, but I'm glad I enrolled you all in the Chunin exam. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, Kakashi said when the next two names came up. Tenten versus Temari. As Tenten and Temari made their way to the middle of the room after descending the stairs, Hayate declared, the fifth match of the preliminaries, Tenten against Temari. Please step forward. Hey, look, another candidate from Suna. This should be fun, Neji replied. Lee shouted, yeah, Tenten, go, Hayate exclaimed, begin. Ino finally woke up as the battle started, followed shortly after by Sakura. Ino inquired, so you finally came to, Sakura? Tenten, harness the strength of youth, shouted Lee. Guy shouted, that's the spirit, keep encouraging her. Ino declared, our match is over and done. In defeat, Sakura looked down and said, I lost. Ino held up Sakura's Hite.8 and said, "Here, by the way, you've blossomed into a lovely flower." I'm the one who should cry. It's such a disgrace, a tie. You fought me to a stand. Still. Sakura uttered the words, Ino, prior to donning her Hite.8. But, just so you know, the next time we face each other, you don't get to take the easy way out by fainting. And by the way, no matter what you say, I'm not going to just hand over Sasuke.kun to you, Ino replied. Oh, really? Well, same here, Ino. Buddha. Right back at you, said Sakura. She shut down Tenten's weapons attack like it was nothing, Neji exclaimed. Impossible! Exclaimed Lee. Tamari was standing on the floor, surrounded by a variety of weapons that were lying there, arranged all over the place. And Tenten's unconscious body lay on top of Temari's folded fan. Tamari remarked, how dull, it's a shame really. No one in particular was asked by Naruto, what's her story? Well, we weren't about to let ourselves be defeated in a place like this, now were we? Kankuro replied. The Suna warriors are absolutely terrifying, Hiruzen pondered. As Hayate exclaimed, the winner of the 5th round match is Tamari. Tamari then threw Tenten, but Lee was able to catch her. Nice catch, said Tamari. As he set Tenten down, Lee screamed, what's wrong with you? That's not how you treat a worthy opponent, especially not one you've just defeated. Lee became enraged when Tamari said, oh, shut up. Get yourself and that loser out of my way. Neji shouted, no, Lee, but his teammate ignored him. As Lee lunged for a roundhouse kick, Tamari blocked it with her fan, saying, Konoha Senpo. What the? Ha. Just as I thought, you're not so fast, after all, Tamari replied. Lee said, what, that's enough, Lee, Guy exclaimed, avoiding the spotlight. Guy. Sensei, asserted Lee. Tamari, get back up here, you've already been declared the winner. How long do you intend to trifle with that homely little Prince Charming? Gaara responded. Lee looked Gaara in the eyes and said, what? Before glancing up at the Suna. Nins, Guy asked, had enough now, Lee? My dear friends from Suna, if it's okay with you, I'd like to give you some advice. Be ready. You have no idea how strong this boy truly is. He actually picked to fight those freaks from Suna in his place. I'd have run for cover, said Kiba. Hinata exclaimed, they really creep me out. Naruto, don't let them beat you, Sakura exclaimed. Sakura. Chan, exclaimed Naruto. Thanks, Naruto, for helping me out before. Ino almost had me, until I heard your obnoxious voice, trumpeting that ridiculous battle cry, Sakura replied. Before turning to face the scoreboard, Naruto exclaimed, it was nothing, okay. My turn, I'm good to go. Who thinks he can take me? When Lee appeared beside Naruto, he exclaimed, who's next? I have a feeling it's me. Shikamaru Nara versus Tsuchi Kin. Man, exclaimed Lee. Rats, exclaimed Naruto. Me, asked Shikamaru. As Kin stared as he made his way to the stairs, Dosu remarked, he manipulates shadows, be wary of them. Hey, it'll take a lot more than a stupid technique like that to beat me, Kin replied. As they stood in the middle of the room, Shikamaru remarked, this is such a drag, and how embarrassing, being expected to fight a girl. If that's the way you feel, I'll put you out of your misery quickly, Kin replied. Ino shouted, Shikamaru, don't you dare lose. Well, Ino is suddenly very energetic, Choji pondered. Even though we battled during the second exam and I learned about the Auto Ninja's strengths, I have no idea what this one's specialty is. She has, however, had a good chance to watch me in action. However, Shikamaru pondered. The battle began as Hayate uttered the words, begin, cough. This battle ended quickly as Kin launched some adorned senbons into the wall behind Shikamaru. In order to keep Kin from seeing him coming, Shikamaru followed his shadow beneath the threads that were fastened to the bells. Shikamaru threw a shuriken at Kin when she was trapped by the Kagemane, forcing her to do the same. They both leaned back and dodged the lethal throwing stars just before the shuriken hit, but Kin was too close to the wall and her head struck it so forcefully that she was knocked out. A shinobi uses everything to his advantage, including the terrain, and the architecture as well. You were locked into the same movements as I, but only one of us was close enough to the wall to give herself a concussion. The shuriken were just a distraction, so you wouldn't notice where you were standing. Shikamaru continued. Hayate declared, the winner is Nara Shikamaru. Ino shouted, nice one, Shikamaru, awesome, exclaimed Shoji. And the guy acts totally humble, man, that was cool, said Naruto. Well, Dosu thought, and now it's just up to me. I, Hinata, Naruto, one of the Auto ninjas, Shoji, Neji, and Lee, as well as that guy from Suna. Please don't let it be the sand guy. Are the only ones who haven't competed yet, Kiba pondered. As he looked at Hinata, Neji thought, the rookies this year seem to be showing some promise, but... Before the names were announced, Hayate said, next up will be Naruto Uzumaki vs Kiba Inuzuka. Well, it's about time. Thanks for being patient, everyone. I'm gonna make this worth your wait, Naruto screamed. Kiba shouted, oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. We can take this guy, Akamaru. And Akamaru barked. Lee mumbled as he sagged, if I'm not next, it means Sakura will despise me for my enormous eyebrows, but if I am next. By the time Naruto and Kiba had gotten down, Hayate exclaimed, the 7th round battle. Uzumaki Naruto vs Inuzuka Kiba. Kiba shouted, woo.who. We lucked out, Akamaru. This fight is as good as won. And Akamaru responded with a bark. Hey, Kiba. Send your little puppy dog home. Come on, he'll get in our way. Naruto shouted, pointing at Akamaru, before saying, don't be so cocky, you jerk. Whatever, Kiba said, placing the mutt on the ground as it barked. Akamaru fights with me, like always. Sakura screamed, Naruto. Don't you dare let that loser beat you. This is it at last, Kakashi thought. Naruto? Kakashi, you had a hard time. Your boy can never defeat Kiba. Kurenai pondered. I wish I could support Naruto.kun, but I don't want to upset my teammate Kiba.kun. However, Hinata pondered. Don't worry, I'll be kind. I'll finish you off fast instead of dragging it out, Kiba replied. Naruto exclaimed, oh, yeah, well, right back at ya. Akamaru barked as Kiba remarked, you're not fooling anyone with that cool act. Well then, begin, responded Hayate. Ninpo. Shikyaku no Jutsu. Kiba uttered those words before becoming somewhat more savage as he tackled all four. Here I come. Then, faster than most of the genin in the room could see, Kiba charged at Naruto. However, before he could strike the blonde, it abruptly disappeared, and nearly everyone's eyes widened when Naruto punched Kiba, sending him flying. Naruto said, a little piece of advice, Kiba. Don't underestimate me, as Kiba came to a skidding stop. Go. Naruto, exclaimed Sakura. Lee exclaimed, yeah. Oh, Naruto.kun. Hinata pondered. Ho ho, Hiruzen thought, what an interesting development. I guess you've gotten stronger, eh? So this time, I'm not holding back, said Kiba. Naruto exclaimed, oh, yeah? Then, right back at ya. Hinata began, oh, N Naruto.kun th, but Sakura interrupted her. She exclaimed, that was awesome, Naruto. However, I thought this Naruto kid was a complete jerk, Kurenai pondered. What sort of approach did Kakashi employ to instruct him? Asuma pondered. Naruto must have used his ring to slow down time because it was his. From our vantage point, he would have been traveling at superhuman speeds, which is why it appeared as though he simply vanished. He may have even punched Kiba more than once. Shikamaru pondered. But I believe that Akamaru and my boy Kiba may be more mature than Naruto, Kurenai pondered. Before Kiba knelt down and made a hand sign, he exclaimed, I mean it, Naruto. No holds barred, no mercy. Akamaru leapt up on his back and yelled, Jujin Bunshin. Akamaru was abruptly transformed into a Kiba clone. The two, Kibas, then bounded in Naruto's direction, but the blonde leapt into the air to avoid them. I have a chance. After giving it some thought, Kiba and Akamaru began spinning, Gatsuga. Then, Kiba and Akamaru appeared to be two gray drills as they raced in Naruto's direction, believing that he had no chance of evading them in midair. I can easily avoid this, but I can't take the chance of anyone noticing my wings, so it's not good. However, before his wings materialized on his back, Naruto thought, but then again, I could just summon the wings for a split second just to get out of the way. I don't think anyone should be able to see any more than a flash of light. He swiftly flapped them to move out of the way before they disappeared again. This caused almost everyone's eyes to widen because they hadn't anticipated that he, or anyone else, could avoid an attack while in midair. However, nobody was able to get a clear view of the wings. Instead, they were only able to see a flash of light that appeared to emanate from the blonde's back. Why would Naruto take the chance of displaying his wings here? Well, it doesn't seem like anyone got a very good look at them, at least, Sakura thought before turning to look around. However, that was still a risky situation. Ino said, "Did you guys see what just happened?" "Yeah, it looked to me as though Naruto dodged Kiba's attack while in mid-air," Choji replied. "He did, and I think that flash of light we saw might have something to do with how he did it," Shikamaru replied. "If I didn't know any better, I think that kid is somehow able to fly," Tamari replied. Kankuro began, "Fly? Since when could humans?" but Gaara interrupted him. "Actually, Kankuro, I think she's on the right track, and I believe that light which came from his back had something to do with it," he replied. After that, Kiba and Akamaru landed on the floor across the room from Naruto, who then skidded backwards after landing on the floor. "Hey, how were you able to dodge that? You were in mid-air," said Kiba. "So?" Naruto asked, shrugging as if it were unimportant. Then Kiba and his mutt got down on all fours and got ready to charge again. "All right, that's it, Akamaru, let's do it again and see if he'll dodge it, this time," Kiba cried. "I'd suggest you'd surrender now, before I use any of my techniques," Naruto replied. "What?" exclaimed Kiba. "Well, if you don't want to surrender, let me just give you a small piece of warning before you try to attack me again. Remember that trick Sasuke did in his match, where he was covered by that colorful aura?" Naruto replied. Before he burst out laughing, Kiba said, "Yeah, what about it? Oh, don't tell me, you can do it too?" Naruto exclaimed, "Well, actually, I do." Kiba spoke before he and Akamaru charged directly at Naruto, saying, "Yeah, right. I'm not stupid enough to fall for that. Come on, Akamaru. Gatsuga." As Kiba and Akamaru drew closer to Naruto, he exclaimed, "Ya no, I wasn't bluffing." Just before a shockwave erupted from his body, knocking both of them back. When the two Team 8 members landed, they turned to face Naruto and were taken aback by the vibrant aura surrounding him. As Naruto said, 4 clones of himself materialized next to him. "It's called Over Limit. It increases strength, speed, reaction time, reflexes, just about everything. But the best thing about Over Limit is that you don't need chakra or hand signs to perform jutsus. Let me demonstrate. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." Could that be the reason why when he used the Gukakyo, the Uchiha's curse mark didn't react? Enko pondered. Before he and his clones charged at their opponents, Naruto remarked, "Of course, there's also a 5-minute time limit. But 5 minutes is more than enough to finish you off." When 4 shuriken appeared between his fingers and he threw them at the 2 Kibas, one of the clones uttered, "Kamiden. Kami. Shuriken no Jutsu." However, the 2 Kibas jumped in opposite directions to avoid the shuriken. What the? All they are composed of is paper. When Kiba realized that the shuriken was only made of paper, he thought, does Naruto really think that's enough to? But he was interrupted when each paper shuriken passed through the hard floor. One of the shuriken barely touched Akamaru before he transformed back and fell to the ground. Kiba then saw that 3 Naruto clones appeared beneath him. "You," one of them said as he kicked Kiba into the air. "Zu," another said as he kicked the Inuzuka higher. "Ma," the third said as he kicked Kiba. "2. Ki." And the 4th clone said as the original Naruto used him as a springboard to get above the Inuzuka. As he kicked Kiba in the back and sent him tumbling to the ground, the original Naruto uttered the words, "Naruto Renden." The aura surrounding Naruto disappeared after Kiba collided with the floor, and Hayate went to see how Kiba was doing. "And the winner is Uzumaki Naruto," he replied. Lee exclaimed, "Yeah." Sakura exclaimed, "Oh, yeah, that feels good." Shikamaru cried out, "Incredible! Naruto beat Kiba." "Yes." Hinata pondered. As he ascended the stairs, Naruto remarked, "Hey, That was easier than I thought it'd be. Shish. Should I? As Naruto passed her, Hinata thought, shouldn't I? Turning around, Naruto said, "En Naruto.kun," and Hinata held up an ointment. Hinata. Kurenai pondered. Naruto said, "Huh? What's this?" Kurenai uttered, "An ointment." With his signature fox grin, Naruto remarked, "An ointment? You should give that to your teammate instead. Besides, I heal fast." Kurenai exclaimed, "Just take it from her, Naruto." Naruto took the ointment and walked back to where Team Guy and Team 7 were standing, saying, Okay, thanks." "Kiba, don't feel embarrassed. You fought a worthy opponent, it turns out," Kurenai pondered. "You seem carefree, don't you, Hinata?" "Sama?" Neji scowled at Hinata out of the corner of his eye and thought. After that, Hinata descended the stairs and approached some medical personnel who were transporting Kiba and Akamaru. Th. This is a healing salve for Kiba-kun and Akamaru," Hinata announced while extending a second ointment. "Nice of you to worry about everyone else, but save some of that concern for yourself. There are only 6 of you left, you, Choji, Neji, Lee, one of the Auto Ninja, and that guy from Suna. Listen, Hinata. If they pair you off against that Suna ninja, withdraw immediately. And not just him. The same goes for Neji. If you have to face him, don't fight. Forfeit. He's so cruel to you, you'd be torn to pieces," Kiba responded. Hayate said, "Well then, the next match will be, cough." Hinata's eyes widened as the next 2 names appeared on the scoreboard. Hinata Hyuga versus Neji Hyuga. Kurenai thought, Hinata. After Hiruzen remarked, "These contests get more and more intriguing," Hinata and Neji appeared in the center of the room, facing one another. "I never dreamed we'd find ourselves fighting each other, Hinata." "Sama," Neji replied. Hinata stammered, "Neji, Oni-san," Naruto questioned, "Huh? She's his sister?" Both are members of Konoha's oldest and most illustrious family, through whose veins flows the most elite and accomplished blood, the Hyuga clan. But they're not brother and sister, Kakashi clarified. Sakura inquired, "Then, how are they related?" "Well, it's complicated. I guess you could say they're related in the same way that a tree branch is related to the trunk," Kakashi responded. Naruto said, "Branch and trunk. Hi, Hinata is a member of the main branch of the Hyuga clan, and Neji is a member of the cadet branch that supports it," Lee clarified. "So it's family fighting family? That'll be hard on both of them," Sakura responded. "Yes, except," Lee uttered. "What?" inquired Sakura. "There's been strain between the central and cadet branches of Clan Hyuga for some time. Relations aren't exactly friendly," Lee stated. Why's that?" inquired Naruto. "I don't know all the details, but it sounds like a pretty common tale among older families. The first generation of the Hyuga clan made all sorts of rules and decrees that favored the main branch of the family, in order to preserve the family line and retain the purity of their blood. It's said that members of the cadet branch still burn with anger and humiliation," Lee clarified. "So it's one of those fateful showdown things, then," said Sakura. Hayate said, "Well, please begin the match, cough. Before we begin, there's something I have to point out to Hinata, Sama." Neji said, grabbing the brunette's interest. "You're not cut out to be a shinobi. Withdraw from the match. You're all sweetness and light, a peacemaker, not a troublemaker. You're easily led, not a leader. And you have no self-confidence. You've got a world-class inferiority complex, so I know you'd have been more comfortable and content staying at the genin level. But applicants for the Chunin exams must compete as a trio, and you couldn't bear to let your teammates down. The truth is, your participation has been reluctant from the start, hasn't it? No, you're wrong. I really wanted to change that about myself. So, of my own volition, replied Hinata. Hinata. Sama, you're the sheltered little baby of the main branch, aren't you? Neji responded. What? Inquired Hinata. A leopard doesn't change its spots. A failure always fails, and a weak personality won't become strong, Neji concluded. That jerk. Naruto pondered. It's precisely because of the unchanging nature of humankind that differences between people are born. It's why we've coined terms like elite and failure. It doesn't matter who you are. We're all judged on the basis of our looks, our intelligence, our talent, or our personalities, just as we judge others in their turn. Yes, it's a form of discrimination, and the factors that it's based on don't change. We have no choice, we must live within the boundaries set for us by the judgments of others. It's as unchangeable as the fact that I'm of the cadet branch of the family, and you're a member of the main branch. I've seen through many things with this Byakugan, and so I know, this courage you're displaying is just a bluff. In the truest, deepest part of your heart, you're desperate to run away from here right now. Neji continued. Hinata said, "No, I really want to." Sakura glanced at Kakashi and said, "The Byakugan. They say that our Sasuke's own Uchiha clan can trace its origins back to the Hyuga clan. The Byakugan far. That he mentioned is one of the Kekkei Genkai passed down in the Hyuga family, a dojutsu in some ways similar to the Sharingan, but in its penetrating perceptive ability, the Byakugan surpasses the Sharingan completely," Kakashi clarified. When Neji's eyes became active, Hinata tried to look away by turning her gaze to the upper left and then to the lower right while holding her hands in front of her. "My eyes can't be deceived. Just now, to escape my stare, you averted your own eyes, glancing towards the upper left. It signaled your recall of a past experience, one that brought you pain. When you subsequently glanced to the lower right, it indicated that you were envisioning physical and mental agony. In other words, you recalled your own previous experiences, and based upon those memories, you imagined the outcome of this match. You foresaw your own defeat. Even now, as you bring your arms up in front of your body as if to shield yourself, your body is signaling your desire to raise a wall between us, to create some distance from me. You implore me to come no further, to peer no more deeply into the innermost secrets of your heart, because everything I have said so far has been right on target. In addition, the way you're touching your lip, it's another of those tender, intimate behaviors that expresses the agitation in your heart. It's a defensive reflex, an attempt to ease your own anxieties and doubts. It's completely clear, whether you admit it or not, that you are aware that you can never change yourself," Neji said. When Neji said, "You can't just arbitrarily decide these things about other people, you fool. Show him, Hinata. Beat up this baka." Naruto screamed. "Yes, she can." Hinata mused. Naruto.kun. "Come on, Hinata. At least talking to him. Just hearing him has made me mad, and it's you who has to fight him," Naruto screamed. Hinata thought, Naruto.kun. He's really annoying, Neji pondered. With renewed confidence, Hinata gazed at Neji and thought, "Thank you." The expression in her eyes has changed. Neji pondered for a moment before responding, "So you're not going to withdraw, then I won't be responsible for what happens here." Then Hinata remembered what Naruto had said at the conclusion of the first test. "I don't quit, and I won't run. I never go back on my word. That's my Nindo. I no longer want to run." After activating her eyes and assuming the Juken stance, Hinata thought, "Byakugan." She then said, "Neji. Oni.san, let's fight." "That's..." Lee pondered. Neji said, "Okay then," and took the same position. They have the same Hyuga style, after all, even her stance is identical to Neji's. Lee continued. Sakura inquired, "Hyuga style? The strongest taijutsu school in Konoha? I've said it before, I'm positive that the strongest genin is a member of my own team." "I was talking about Hyuga Neji," Lee exclaimed. After that, Hinata and Neji charged at one another. Hinata launched a series of palm strikes, but Neji stopped them all. This is it. When Hinata noticed a gap, she thought and swiftly struck Neji in the stomach with her palm. "Did she get him?" inquired Sakura. Naruto exclaimed, "No, it's just a scratch." "But a scratch is all it would take. That's why the Hyuga clan is often regarded as Konoha's most illustrious family," Lee continued. Sakura questioned, "Huh? What do you mean? Among the Hyuga, there are unique taijutsu passed down from one generation to the next. Unlike the taijutsu that Lee and I specialize in, which is all about beatings, bruises and broken bones, a style its proponents call Goken. The Hyuga clan employs Juken, to inflict damage to the enemy's Kirakuki, through which the chakra flows. That leads to the breakdown of the internal organs, destroying the foe from within. It doesn't look like much, but the effect grows gradually after the initial attack," Guy clarified. There's no way of strengthening the internal organs, so any enemy struck with that blow is going to succumb, said Kakashi. As she deflected a blow from Neji away from her and then struck him with another palm strike, Hinata thought, yes, even I can. He's being pushed by Hinata.san, Shino pondered. Kurenai thought, Hinata. Yeah, Hinata, exclaimed Naruto. What kind of people are they, to attack the Kirakuki? It doesn't seem possible. I mean, the Kirakuki is just energy lines inside the body, so how do you attack something you can't see? Sakura inquired. They can. Those two, their Byakugan can see them. And Juken attacks are different from the purely brute force, physical kind. You take your own chakra and release it through the energy portals in your hands, forcing it into the body of your foe, where it can inflict massive damage on the enemy's Kirakuki. Kakashi stated when Hinata struck Neji's torso. All right, shouted Naruto. Did she get him? Shino pondered. Neji had stabbed Hinata's arm with his other hand's index and middle fingers while striking her in the chest, causing Hinata to cough up blood. So this is the full extent of the main branch's strength? Neji responded. Naruto screamed, hey, what the heck? What about Hinata's attack? Before attempting a palm strike to Neji's face, Hinata thought, not yet. However, the Hyuga prodigy grabbed Hinata's wrist with his left hand and struck Hinata's arm with his right index and middle finger. What a fighter! Kakashi pondered. Kurenai wanted to say, tell me. My. Hiruzen thought, it seems those who have referred to him as the greatest genius in Hyuga clan history haven't exaggerated the case. Neji then exposed multiple black dots by pushing Hinata's sleeve up her arm. It can't be, you mean, from the very beginning, replied Hinata. Before launching a palm strike that sent Hinata reeling across the floor, Neji exclaimed, precisely, my eyes can detect the Tenketsu. Hinata. Sama, this is the unalterable difference in strength, the distinction that separates the elite from the failure. This is the unchangeable reality. From the moment you said you wouldn't run, your defeat was inevitable. The only possible outcome was your present despair, withdraw. Never, go back, on my word, Hinata uttered as she stood up. Hinata, Naruto pondered. Hinata exclaimed, because, that's, my Nindo, too. Hinata was given the title. I never go back on my word. It's her Nindo, her shinobi way, and she can't call herself a ninja if she breaks it. Naruto exclaimed, whoa, Hinata, man, she's got guts. Lee remarked, she's a lot like you. Yeah, I've noticed that she's always watching you, Naruto, said Sakura. Come here, Neji said, but Hinata coughed up more blood right away. That child is truly at her breaking point. One more assault and she'll, Kurenai pondered. Neji's strikes on her Tenketsu have completely arrested her flow of chakra. She's lost the capacity to perform the Juken attacks that flood her chakra into her opponent's body. This fight is as good as done, Kakashi stated. It appears to be inevitable. Neji is going to win, Guy thought. Those eyes, so creepy, Hinata, she won't get killed, will she? Ino replied. His level of strength, it's not a fair fight. He's just too strong, said Sakura. Naruto shouted, hang in there, Hinata. Naruto.kun. Hinata considered this before turning to face Neji. As Hinata rushed in his direction, Neji thought, the look of strength is back in her eyes. I've been watching, Hinata thought as she and Neji started fighting again. I've been watching you for years. Why is that? I'm not sure what it is, but whenever I watch Naruto.kun, I feel a surge of bravery rising within me. I believe that even I am valuable if I just give it my all. That's how I feel at first. Then, Hinata advanced for a palm strike, but Neji deflected her attack with a chopping motion with his left hand before striking her in the face and sending her reeling back a few feet. Hinata, Kurenai uttered before reflecting, you always quit, but you started trying to change at some point. You were always making mistakes on missions, despite your constant and desperate training. You stumbled. You lacked strength. You also never believed in yourself. That is no longer the case, though, because the Hinata I see now has an expression in her eyes that is unlike anything I have ever seen. Before Hinata charged at Neji once more, Kurenai pondered. Naruto.kun. I've been observing you for a very long time, but now you're finally observing me. As she ran towards Neji, she thought, but before she could hit him, Neji hit her, causing her to fall to the ground. Don't you know when to quit? From the start, your attacks have been completely ineffective, Neji replied. Please, call this off, Hinata. Even though you lost the match, you were able to change who you are. You performed admirably, Kurenai pondered. That was Neji's master stroke. It targets the heart. It's a pity, but the girl can no longer even stand, Guy replied. Hayate began, seeing as the match cannot go on, but Naruto interrupted. He cried, don't stop it, Sakura screamed. What are you talking about, you baka? She's got nothing left, she's already collapsed. But Hinata was able to get to her feet in an instant. Why are you getting up? If you push too far, you really will die, Neji replied. The reason for this is that the person I've long admired is finally observing me, and I can't stand to appear uncool in front of him. As Hinata glanced at Neji, she thought, this isn't over yet. You're not fooling anyone. I can see with these eyes, it's taking all your strength just to stand. You were burdened from birth with the Hyuga clan's main branch. You've hated and punished yourself for your own weakness and frailty, but you can't fight your nature, or change your fate. But you need not suffer anymore. Be at peace, Neji replied. Before Neji charged at her, Hinata remarked, but, you're wrong, Neji. Oni-san, I can see it now, that even more than me, it's you who are torn and suffering, caught between the destinies of the main branch and cadet branch of our clan. As he and several other Konoha Jonin prepared to intervene to stop the Hyuga prodigy, Hayate yelled, Neji. The match is already over, but before they could do so, Hinata's eyes turned red, and a white glyph appeared on the floor beneath her. A trail of icicles shot out of the ground toward Neji as she said, icicle, but her voice sounded like a mix of her own and something demonic. For some reason, Naruto and Gaara could sense that their respective tenants began to tremble in terror, and Shino experienced the same thing with his Kakaichu. What the? Before he leapt to the left to avoid the icicles, Neji pondered. But the icicles disappeared as if they had never existed, and Hinata fell to the ground just as he did. After that, Naruto, Sakura, Lee, and Kurenai shunshined down to Hinata's lying place. Naruto shouted, Hinata, hey, are you alright? Sakura exclaimed, she doesn't look good. Her face is so pale, before Naruto gave Neji a fierce look. Hey, you, Mr. Failure, Neji said to the blonde. A couple of words of advice. A true shinobi would have too much class to make a spectacle of himself by cheering during a serious match. And one more thing, you may as well accept who you are. Once a failure, always a failure. Naruto stood up and charged at Neji, asking, you want to try me? But Lee suddenly appeared in front of him. I understand almost painfully well what you're feeling, Naruto-kun. But, we have to limit our battles to the confines of the scheduled fights. The prospect of seeing a failure defeat a genius through sheer force of will, it really makes you look forward to the final rounds, even though his opponent could very well be me. But even if it's you in the finals, Naruto-kun, I'll have no regrets, he exclaimed. After Naruto said, yeah, I get it, okay. Lee gave Guy the thumbs up, and Guy gave it back. Lee, you're such a great child. Good, Guy pondered. Naruto knelt down and ran his fingers over Hinata's blood before getting to his feet as some medical personnel arrived and took her away. I give you my word, he thought as he held his fist in his right arm and exclaimed, I vow to win. Naruto-kun, Lee pondered. Naruto, Sakura pondered. Kankuro observed Gaara out of the corner of his eye and thought, this isn't good. Gaara's smelled blood, and now that thing is waking up, starting to fidget, the demon that lives within him. Now we know there are 3 monsters here, but ours has an inner nature that's uniquely bad. Kurama no Kyuubi. Actually, he's only pretending to be an idiot sometimes. But that Neji guy, you'd think he hadn't even been harmed, that he still has hidden reserves of strength. We've got to start planning ahead, to prepare for the final rounds. Maybe I should gather some intelligence. Naruto's an idiot, but he'd be a good place to start. When Naruto reached the top of the stairs, he turned around to see Kankuro, and a voice said, hey, you're a funny guy, I like that. Well, you're not funny at all, and I don't like that, said Naruto. The first time I get an excuse, you are so dead, you miserable little, Kankuro pondered. What hack do you want? Inquired Naruto. Kankuro remarked, well, You see, it's about that Hyuga Neji guy, but I will acquire that individual. Naruto uttered those words. Kankuro responded, fine, fine, but that's not what I asked. Alright, so let's get started on the next fight. Hayate uttered those words. I suppose it's your turn at last. Lee, go. Guy uttered those words. Not at all. Guy, Neji, Kakashi, and Sakura were all taken aback when Lee said, I've waited this long. If it were up to me, I'd prefer to be the last act. Sakura thought, it almost looks like Lee.san is sulking. Hey, Choji, you're in trouble now. What will you do? Only the strongest survive. That kid from Suna in particular worries me with the expression in his eyes. He's the most dangerous kind. Shikamaru uttered those words. So it won't matter, I'll just leave right away. Choji uttered those words. Well, you'll be giving up your chance for an all.you.can.eat victory barbecue once the exam is over, said Asuma. Hey, don't use food as bait. Shikamaru uttered those words. The words, but, sounded to Choji. Don't be concerned. I'll intervene and break up the fight if things get out of hand. Alright? Asuma reassured. Choji, did you hear that? Go ahead and do it. You'll have Asuma Sensei watching out for you. Ino uttered those words. Come on. Imagine the barbecue. Yes, indeed. I can eat all the meat, Choji shouted. You poor sap, unless you get eaten first, Shikamaru thought. Dosu thought, now, but Gaara abruptly shunned down. Before Choji began yelling, he said, don't keep me waiting. I'm safe, he shouted. Gaara versus Lee Rock. So it's Lee.san, but what's that big gourd of Gaara's for? Sakura thought. I feel bad about this. Alright. You got me. I was stopped as soon as I expressed my desire to be last. You can repeatedly throw a stone at a telephone pole and never hit it, but the minute you aim to miss, you hit it squarely in the middle. This is a natural law. In any case, I wasn't particularly interested in being the last act, Lee shouted. Sakura pondered, so. Who was caught? Hey Lee, Guy remarked, I've noticed something important that most people might have overlooked. Yes, sir. Lee uttered those words. That gourd thing of his is quite suspicious, Guy replied. Lee said, I see, and began writing on a sheet of paper. Cease making notes. In the heat of combat, you won't have time to consult them, Guy uttered those words. Lee put the piece of paper away and remarked, I see. I hope Lee.san is okay, Sakura pondered. All right, Lee, go get him, Guy shouted. Yes, sir. As he leapt to the ground and landed in front of Gaara, Lee exclaimed, I'm so glad to be facing you so soon. I don't know what kind of tricks this bowl.cut kid has up his sleeve, but there's no way he'll win against Gaara, Kankuro stated. Recalling Lee's battle with Sasuke, Naruto remarked, no, he's stronger than you think. Gaara's gourd's cork abruptly exploded and was on its way to Lee, but the taijutsu practitioner merely grabbed it and said, please, don't rush things. Be careful, Lee, Guy thought. All right, then. Now let's start the battle in the 9th round, Hayate declared. As Lee charged at Gaara, Tamari thought, he may be fast, but his kick wasn't anything special. Hey, he's no match for Gaara. As he moved in for a roundhouse kick, Lee yelled, Konoha Senpo. However, he struck a shield of sand, saying, sand, and the sand suddenly collided with Lee, sending him rolling across the floor. Sand? He's working with sand? Sakura wondered. What an odd method, Kakashi thought. Naruto thought, the gourd is full of sand. Darn. Lee thought as he skidded to a stop and charged at Gaara once more. He tried a punch but the sand shield stopped it, and then he tried a kick but it was also stopped. Without even moving a muscle, darn. As quick as he is, Lee.san is not making any progress, Sakura uttered those words. His attacks are simply ineffective, Naruto uttered those words. Physical assaults against Gaara are useless. Regardless of Gaara's wishes, the sand creates a shield to keep his body safe. Kankuro said, that's why, to this day, not one person, who has ever wounded him. Naruto swallowed as Lee attempted to strike Gaara once more but was thwarted by the sand shield. Why does Lee.san exclusively practice taijutsu? Taijutsu are painful and useless against that sand wall. He must start attacking from a distance and employ ninjutsu. Sakura uttered those words. It's not that Lee won't use ninjutsu, it's that he can't, Guy replied. What? Sakura asked herself, startled. Lee has practically no ninjutsu or genjutsu abilities, Guy stated. Are you serious? How, then, has he survived this long? Sakura shouted. Lee had no talent or ability at all when I first met him, and he had no sense at all. Because of this, he has only been able to learn taijutsu moves. Few ninja are proficient in both ninjutsu and genjutsu, Guy remarked. In an attempt to grab Lee, Gaara's sand suddenly began to shoot up from the floor, but the taijutsu practitioner leapt back, then up and landed on the tip of the right hand's finger on the enormous statue that was just across the wall. And that's exactly why Lee can prevail, Guy said before giving Lee a thumbs up and yelling, Lee, remove them. But Guy, Sensei, you mentioned. I would never do that unless I was protecting the lives of those I care about, Lee shouted. Everything is fine. I'll let it, after Guy screamed. Lee took off the weights that were fastened to his legs. Weights? Sakura inquired. Oh, Guy. The most nostalgically traditional, sickeningly sweet kind of training, Kakashi thought. All right. I can now move around freely. As he let go of the weights, Lee shouted. How stupid, thought Kankuro. I understand, Naruto uttered those words. When Tamari and almost everyone else's eyes widened when the weights smashed into the floor with a bang and massive dust clouds appeared, they thought, There's no way dropping a few weights will let you keep up with Gaara's sand. Guy, aren't you going overboard? Kakashi pondered. Leave. Lee. Guy shouted. Yes, sir. Lee shouted before abruptly disappearing and resurfacing behind Gaara. He then tried to punch Gaara, but Gaara's sand blocked it just in time. Nearly, Sakura thought. He's quick, Kakashi reflected. Lee then attempted a kick to Gaara, which nearly went through. He then tried a punch and another, each one coming faster than the last. Lee dedicated himself entirely to taijutsu because he lacked skill in either ninjutsu or genjutsu. All of his time, all of his energy, all of his concentration. As Lee approached Gaara from behind, Guy remarked, so that even if he lacked any other kind of abilities at all, he'd still be unbeatable as a taijutsu specialist. The majority of the audience was shocked when Lee leapt into the air above Gaara and then kicked the Ichibi Jinchuriki in the head with his heel. Lee is unbeatable in terms of speed. I believe I gave you all fair notice that this boy is incredibly strong. Guy uttered those words. All right, let's get started. As he skidded back, Lee uttered those words. Tamari thought, it's unbelievable, he actually managed to wound Gaara. Bushy brows are now even quicker. Before thinking, he really is strong, Naruto said. No way, Kankuro exclaimed, shocked. Lee, explode now, Guy shouted. Yes, sir. Lee shouted before disappearing and then resurfacing behind Gaara. However, as Gaara glanced over his shoulder, Lee disappeared once more and then resurfaced in front of the Suna.nin, saying, over here, before punching Gaara away. Wow. He moves so quickly. He was too fast for the barrier of sand. There was absolutely no protection, Sakura cried out. I'm exhausting him, Lee reflected. Wow. His movements are so quick that I can't even follow them. Choji uttered those words. Kankuro uttered the words, this is bad. You're right. That jerk with the raccoon eyes. He shouldn't be standing at all after the way he was just hit. Naruto uttered those words. Kankuro remarked, that's not the problem. Everyone could see that Gaara's skin was beginning to fall off as he stood up once more. What? Lee remarked in surprise when he realized that a layer of sand armor rather than skin was falling off, and Gaara appeared to have an insane expression on his face. Kakashi thought, he mummified himself in sand, the blows barely touched him. Sakura gulped and wondered, What is he, a sand armor? When did he wrap that around himself? Naruto inquired. Kankuro thought, he was wearing the sand like a shell, it's been a while since I saw that expression on his face. Normally he's as composed as a statue, the picture of politeness and decorum. I had sensed that, during the Chunin examination, he was becoming more and more unstable, but, the other Gaara, is now totally awake, Kankuro said. If this Gaara is able to catch Lee, Lee will be toyed with and then killed. Gaara's body was suddenly covered in sand to restore the sand armor that the Lee had destroyed. That Lee is truly something, Kankuro thought, but the end of this is a foregone conclusion, because Gaara is a genius. If Gaara has been driven to using the armor, then his mind is right now, purely on defense. He's been driven into a corner. Is that all? Gaara inquired. It's a fantastic defense, he's protected, so my speed isn't important. My only option is to keep beating and punishing him with that layer of sand, Lee thought. What is he doing now? Temari wondered. Lee.san, Sakura pondered. The Renge, Lee thought, then glanced up at Guy, who nodded in agreement before Lee began removing the bandages from his arms. Before Lee started running around Gaara faster than anyone could see, Guy reasoned, the Renge will let him strike his foe at high speed. A thin layer of sand won't stand up to it. And if it happens that he's wearing a thick shell of sand, it will be almost impossible for him to kick outward, in which case. Come on, move quickly. Gaara uttered those words as his patience began to waver. As you desire, Lee said as he kicked Gaara into the air, but thanks to the sand armor, he was barely lifted off the ground, and that's not all. Lee then began to kick Gaara in a flurry, sending the Sunadotin higher and higher as his sand attempted to reach them. Lee then stood up behind Gaara, but before he could do so, he closed his eyes and felt a slight sting of pain, which Gaara noticed. Guy thought, you had better make your next move decisive, kid, as he clasped his hands together and closed his eyes to pray. Even a simple Renge move puts a lot of strain on the user's body, that many consecutive kicks may be too much even for Lee. You got it, Lee said as the bandages had finished wrapping themselves around Gaara before they started spiraling down to the floor. Omit Renge. In order to avoid being killed by the impact, Lee leapt away as they hit the floor. D.Do, you believe he's deceased? Naruto inquired. You're kidding, aren't you? Kankuro uttered those words. He won. Lee.san, Sakura cried out. Gosh, Guy uttered those words. However, Gaara's sand armor came off when Lee landed, revealing that it was empty. When did he finally come out of his shell? He couldn't have gotten past Lee at all, Guy shouted. Guy, it happened while you were praying with your eyes closed. After a brief moment of Lee's agony, Gaara approached Lee from behind and burst out laughing. That's when, Kakashi said. Kankuro thought, it's finally awakened, Gaara's inner demon. As Gaara waved his hand and a wave of sand shot toward Lee, flung him against the wall, then shot again, crashing into the wall. When the dust cloud from the sand hitting the wall dissipated and Lee was seen extending his arms in front of him for protection, Kankuro thought, Mr. Bull.Cut is at the end of his rope. Gaara's just toying with him. Why doesn't Lee simply run away? Sakura inquired. The Renge technique he just used, it's a double-edged sword, Guy replied. It's essentially a prohibited move. The body is severely strained when practicing taijutsu at that level of speed. Lee is currently nothing more than a mass of weakness and pain. Isn't that correct, Guy? Kakashi uttered those words. Sakura remarked, but that means, as Gaara's sand struck Lee, sending him skidding away. At this rate, Sand's gonna. Guy remembered the first time he saw Lee and thought, Lee. Rewind at the moment. Lee was running around outside the academy with the other students in his class. You baka, ha 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 ha. You're never going to be a ninja, one of the children remarked. Yes. How is it possible for someone who is incapable of using ninjutsu to aspire to become a ninja? One more person said. But I will. Lee shot back. You can only do taijutsu, and even then, you're only mediocre at it. Why did they allow you to enter the ninja academy? As Lee attempted to ignore him, a different child said, Hey. Want to know what the other kids call you? No. Before he fled and the other children began to laugh, Lee said, covering his ears with his hands. Hey Lee. Wait in line. As Guy peered down from a window at the scene, the teacher shouted after him. That's the Gaki that everyone is talking about, the little hothead who couldn't. He uttered those words. The end of the flashback. It was Gaara who then sent Lee another sand wave. Guy recalled the moment when Lee, Neji, and Tenten became genin. But Lee, you took your mediocre skills in taijutsu, and made exercise and practice your obsession, and then, Guy thought. Rewind. Now that you're formally a genin, I'd like to know all about your objectives. Standing in front of the three genin, Guy uttered those words. Neji said, I don't want to say. All right, Guy said. I aspire to be a powerful kunoichi like the renowned Tsunade. Sama, who is my idol. Tenten uttered those words. Sensei. Lee shouted, raising his hand, I want to demonstrate that anyone can become a fantastic ninja even if they are incapable of using genjutsu or ninjutsu. That's all I want. Guy thought, he's got good eyes, but Neji laughed and Lee got to his feet, accusing the Hyuga. Hey, why is it so funny? He shouted. The end of the flashback. Lee tried to move aside as another wave of sand hit him, remembering the outcome of one of his fights with Neji. Rewind. Lee fell to the ground after losing to the Hyuga prodigy once more. Oh, Lee.san. You know when to give up, don't you? Here, you have no chance. Not against Neji. Tenten remarked, you're not a genius, and he is. Give up, Lee. No matter how hard you try, you can't hope to beat me. That's just the way it is, Neji replied. The end of the flashback. Then Guy remembered that he had once witnessed the child training. Rewind. Guy was spying on Lee as he performed push-ups at one of the training fields. Alright, so if I'm not strong enough after 500 push-ups in a row, I'll do 1.200 double skips with the jump rope. As it turned out, a short while later, Lee was performing double skips with the jump rope. And if 1.200 double skips don't do it, then I'll kick the wooden practice dummy 2.000 times. Whoa. 1.116, 1.117, Guy pondered, but Lee stumbled on the rope and fell headlong into the wooden practice dummy, sobbing as he hit the ground. Guy stepped out from behind the tree he had been hiding behind and said, So, Lee, taking a break already? Lee stood up. Before kicking the wooden dummy, Lee said, Did you need something, Guy? Sensei? If it's about the blunder I made during our last mission, I thought I'd already made it up to you. You know, you really are very different from Neji. You're no genius at ninjutsu or genjutsu, and you really aren't a taijutsu virtuoso, either. Nevertheless, Lee, there's one area where you completely surpass Neji. You're a genius of another kind with great hidden potential, Guy replied. Lee said, You're just saying that to be nice, while kicking. As Lee stopped kicking, Guy remarked, I'm not trying to be nice. I'm just saying that you are a genius of hard work. Lee was known as the genius of hard work. He trains after breakfast, lunch, dinner, and supper. He may be going overboard. Do you really mean that? I have only been able to make it this far by having faith that, if I trained 2 or 3 times as hard as Neji, I might finally beat him. I've always believed that, but lately, I've started to feel that I had no hope of ever measuring up to a true genius like Neji. I've wondered if it was possible for hard work alone to be rewarded, so I've kept challenging Neji, but the results have always been the same. I'm no match for him, and even now, on missions, my legs still tremble in fear that no matter how hard I work, I'll never get stronger. It scares me so much I can't stand it. I don't know what to do, Lee replied. All your hard work will prove worthless unless you believe in yourself, Guy stated. The end of the flashback. Thank you, Guy. Sensei, Lee thought, recalling it himself, before recalling another exchange with his sensei. Rewind. I want to demonstrate that even someone who is incapable of using ninjutsu or genjutsu can become a magnificent ninja. You remind me of myself, way back when I was a complete failure. Nowadays, in matches against that elite genius, Kakashi, we're nearly even. That's your shinobi path, isn't it? It's a great goal, one that's really worth fighting for. It's the path you chose, so have faith and follow it. Become such a strong fighter that I can just sit back and enjoy the show. You got that, Lee? Guy replied as he stroked the child's forehead. Yes, sir, shouted Lee. The end of the flashback. Another wave of sand approached Lee, and Guy gazed down on the battle. Sakura screamed, Lee, no, give up before he kills you. But Lee ducked, much to the surprise of nearly everyone. He regained his speed. Naruto pondered. The fact that Guy Sensei is relaxing and taking in the performance is enough to get me going again. And to strengthen me more than before. As he smiled and assumed his taijutsu stance, Lee thought. Lee. Sans being pushed around so brutally, why is he smiling? Sakura inquired. Guy said, Drawing the Pinkette's attention, the lotus of Konoha will bloom twice. He's about to start pushing back. Gaara remarked, for you, it ends here. Well, one way or another, the next move will be the last, Lee replied. Konoha's lotus will bloom twice? As his visible eye widened, Kakashi thought, Guy, don't tell me you. Guy responded, on the contrary. I did. Then, that kid, who's just a genin, is able to open the Hachiman, Kakashi responded. Guy replied, yes, that's right. It's terrible, Kakashi reflected. Guy remarked, he has the talent. No matter how much talent he has, you taught him something horribly dangerous. The Ura Renge tops the list of moves you shouldn't teach, Kakashi screamed. Ura Renge. Neji pondered. It's none of my business what that child means to you, and I'll spare us both the lecture about not being governed by your feelings, but you crossed a line on this. You disappoint me, Guy, Kakashi responded. Guy recalled what Lee had said when he first turned into a genin and remarked, you don't know the first thing about that kid. I want to prove that even a person who can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu can still become a splendid ninja. It's my only goal. As Lee began to hold his arms in an X shape in front of his face, Guy remarked, that boy has something he values so deeply that he's willing to die for the sake of it. That's why I wanted to help him become someone who'd be able to stand up for his ideals. I had to. So tell me, Guy, which of the Hachiman has he gotten up to so far? Kakashi asked after reflecting, so he was able to back from exhaustion with such abnormal speed because he'd forced open the Kumon. Guy said, the Toman. Kakashi's eye widened once more. Since hard work alone shouldn't be able to accomplish that feat, Kakashi reasoned that the boy must be a genius. WH. What are you both talking about? You keep mentioning these, Hachiman? Sakura responded. The Hachiman act as limiters that must be released in preparation for performing the Ura Renge, Guy clarified. As Kakashi revealed his Sharingan by lifting his Hite.8, Sakura questioned, limiters released? Yes, Kakashi uttered. At 8 specific points along the Kirakuki there are places where the chakra nodes converge. The Kaimon, the Kumon, the Simon, the Shoman, the Toman, the Kimon, the Kiyomon and the Shimon. Those are called the Hachiman. They constantly maintain limits on the amount of chakra flowing through the body, limits that the Renge uses chakra to forcibly override, enabling the user to draw upon strength that is dozens of times his usual level, even if the user's body is destroyed in the process. Incidentally, the Omet Renge opens only the Kaimon, Guy clarified. Sakura inquired, and the Ura Renge? Opening the Kaimon frees the user from his own mental inhibitions. The opening of the Kumon boosts his strength, and with the opening of the Simon, one can begin the Ura Renge, Guy stated. But, the Omet Renge alone got him so beat up, if he tries to perform any more moves, said Sakura. That's right, this technique is a double-edged sword. The state where all the Hachiman have been opened is called the Hachiman Tonko no Jin, and anyone who achieves that state will, however briefly, be granted strength that surpasses even the Hokages. But in exchange, that person will inevitably die, Kakashi replied. As he considered the 3 individuals he wished to battle the most, Neji, Sasuke, and Naruto, Lee thought, I will not be the only one who fails. Please, Guy. Sensei, take notice of me. Now, of all times, when I eventually achieve my shinobi path. Simon, Kai. He exclaimed as his skin suddenly turned red and tiny rocks began to float around him. The hue of his skin. Sakura pondered. Naruto thought, that technique reminds me of limit, but somehow I doubt it's related. He's going to make his move. He opened the Simon, Kakashi pondered. While I'm at it, let me say this. Shoman, Kai. As a tiny trail of blood emerged from Lee's nose and all of his muscles tensed, he thought. Just before Lee disappeared, Kakashi thought, he's quite something. Then, without anyone noticing, he kicked Gaara into the air and said, he's fast. Kankuro asked, Gaara? Since he was unable to locate his younger brother. Naruto looked up and exclaimed, you're looking in the wrong place. Kankuro's eyes widened as he followed his gaze. Look up, shouted Shikamaru. But what about Lee? I don't see him anywhere, Choji replied. The sand now appears to be unable to keep up, Sakura pondered. The Suna.Nin flew towards the wall when Lee abruptly materialized in front of Gaara and punched him. However, the Konoha.Nin then materialized behind him and punched him once more. For several minutes, both ninjas endured excruciating pain in this manner. What? Is my sand armor coming off? As he noticed that his sand encasing began to fall off, Gaara reflected. Again, the sand armor? As Lee braced himself for another blow, he thought, at this rate. If this continues, his muscles have been torn, Kakashi thought. However, it's just Lee. How did he become so? As he turned on the Byakugan, Neji pondered. Lee shouted, "This is the end, Toman. Kai, is he even human? My defenses are failing." Gaara pondered. "Hi, Neji. I was preparing this move to use against you, but I'll give you a preview first." Lee considered this before he struck Gaara in the stomach, knocking him to the ground. However, Lee was able to prevent the Jinchuriki from hitting the ground by wrapping some of the bandages on his left arm around Gaara's waist. Much of the sand armor has been ripped away, and the sand shield is unable to keep up. This is not good, Tamari pondered. The Ura Renge is a fast-paced set of taijutsu moves that renders the attacker untouchable. Lee's quick moves are crucial to his victory because the sand can't possibly catch up, Guy pondered. This is the conclusion. Before removing the bandages and drawing Gaara closer to him, Lee pondered. Then, shouting, "Ura Renge!" Lee pushed his right hand and right foot into Gaara's stomach. The Suna.Nin then leapt to the ground and collided with it so violently that a massive shockwave nearly knocked everyone off their feet. As Kakashi and Guy saw that the gourd on Gaara's back had turned to sand just before the impact, Shikamaru thought, "It's so fast, you can't even see." "Don't tell me," Guy pondered. "It's turning to sand, the gourd," Kakashi pondered. Lee noticed that Gaara was lying on a sand pillow with his right arm outstretched toward him as he began to stand up. He used the gourd, which was made of sand, to defend himself. Guy pondered as sand began to abruptly climb Lee's left leg and arm. "That move is..." Shino pondered. As he clenched his fist and the sand on Lee's limbs collapsed, crushing the Konoha. "Nin's bones," Gaara exclaimed. "Sabaku Q." The Konoha.Nin then fell to the ground and another wave of sand rushed at him, but to Gaara's surprise, Guy appeared out of nowhere and the sand scattered. Gaara asked, "Why are you helping him?" after experiencing a sharp pain on the right side of his forehead and putting his hand there. Guy then considered a number of Lee's remarks. "Heh, I'm alright, 'cause I'm so strong." Guy. "Sensei, I'll excel in the Chunin exams, you can sit back and enjoy the show. I want to prove that even a person who can't use ninjutsu or genjutsu can still become a splendid ninja. It's my only goal." Guy thought for a moment, then said, "He's my lovable, precious protege." As the sand flowed up to his back to reform the gourd, Bucky thought, "Those words are beyond Gaara's scope of understanding." Then, Gaara turned and left. "Forget it," he claimed. To everyone's surprise, Hayate declared, "The victor is Gaara." Before Lee got back to his feet and assumed his taijutsu stance, his hair casting shadows over his eyes. "It's unbelievable," Guy thought. His arms and legs were crushed when he opened the toman. How is he still standing? As Guy approached the child and placed his hands on Lee's shoulders, Kakashi pondered. As Guy began to cry, he thought, "Lee, it's all right, it's over. You're in no shape to be standing." Lee's eyes were completely pale, indicating that he was unconscious. "Even though you've been knocked senseless, you're still trying to stay true to your nindo. Lee, you are already a splendid ninja," Guy said, but then noticed that Lee was crying. How will Lee handle his dream being crushed like this? Lee was given the title, a splendid ninja. It's what he's always wanted, but now that he's finally realized his dreams, he's also been crippled to the extent that he can't remain a ninja. Lee.San. As she scaled the fence and got ready to jump down, Sakura thought. Catching the Pinkette's attention, Kakashi exclaimed, "Sakura, how do you intend to help him? Your presence will only cause him pain." Tamari remarked, He never had a chance against Gaara," before Naruto leapt to his feet and began running in the direction of Lee, who Guy had placed on the ground. How could such a jerk defeat Bushi? Brows. As he sprinted past Gaara, the blonde chosen pondered. Naruto, Kakashi pondered. Hayate shouted, "Emergency unit, please hurry," as the medic Nins arrived. Before noticing something and approaching Guy, one of the medics exclaimed, Excuse us, are you the Jonin responsible for him? If I may have a word. The medic whispered so that only Guy would hear it, but Naruto's stronger than normal hearing allowed him to hear every word. This kid's body is so destroyed, he'll never recover enough to be a shinobi again. He has compound compressive fractures and torn muscles throughout his body, but if that were the full extent of his injuries, we could still expect a full recovery, but the damage to his attacked left arm and leg is especially severe. Naruto uttered, No way, you must be kidding. Guy pondered, Lee, please forgive me for not stopping you before it was too late. I never let myself think that you could lose. I wanted to help you achieve your Nindo. Lee, Neji thought, even in the end, you didn't realize that if your victory were a Pyrrhic one, the heavens would never permit you to go any farther. Welcome back, Gaara, the blonde girl said as Gaara shunshined up to where Baki and Temari were standing. Guy, Kakashi said, glancing down at his opponent before reflecting, had I been in your shoes, I probably wouldn't have been able to stop Lee either, but I was pretty cocky earlier, to be honest. Shoji Akamichi vs Kinuta Dosu. When Naruto and Guy approached the others again, Hayate exclaimed, well, it's the finale, the 10th round battle. Both contestants, please step forward. Dosu remarked, looks like I'm last, before considering, anyway, I have to make it to the finals and fight Sasuke, or else I won't live up to your expectations, Orochimaru, Sama. I think I finally get what you were doing. The three of us were your test subjects when you hunted down Sasuke in the forest and, rather than killing him, put your curse mark on him. You ordered us to kill Sasuke, but in reality, you only wanted us to battle him so we could see his skills and test them out for ourselves. Sasuke himself, not his life, is what you desire. He said, you've been toying with me, too, as he leapt to the ground and materialized before Choji, who had already descended. Hayate exclaimed, well, let the 10th round battle begin. Go get him! Shouted Shikamaru. Ino exclaimed, you can do it, Fatso. Shut your mouth and keep your eyes open, I'm gonna end this match fast so I can come beat you up, Choji screamed. Well then, I'll dispense with the games and quickly finish it for you, Fatso, Dosu replied. Choji used the combination of Baika and Nikuden Sensha in this battle, which was the shortest of the entire exam. However, Dosu was able to avoid it with ease before Choji crashed into the wall. When he stopped to roll the other way, Dosu struck him with his amplifier, knocking him out because water makes up more than 70% of the human body. Hayate declared, we have a winner, Dosu Kinuta. Orochimaru. Sama, or more accurately, Orochimaru, I'll demonstrate to you that I'm more than just your test subject, Dosu pondered. Choji was crouching next to a medic. Nin who said, hey, are you alright? Choji said, I want to eat meat. Shikamaru remarked, he even went easy on him. Well, he lost, but I guess I'll still take him out for barbecue, Asuma replied. Hayate thought, phew, cough, it's finally over. The finals at last, Hiruzen thought. Hayate declared, well then, as of this moment, the preliminaries to the third exam are now complete. Soon after, all of the advanced genin, with the exception of Sasuke, were positioned in front of Hiruzen and the exam proctors. To those of you who won your bouts and qualified for the finals of the third phase of the Chunin exams, although one of you isn't here, congratulations, said Hayate. To get her sensei's attention, Sakura said, Kakashi, sensei, I want to ask you something. Knowing where this was going, Kakashi said, something about Sasuke. After saying, well, unfortunately, I don't know much yet, either, but, don't be worried. Kakashi turned to Sakura and said, Sakura, I'm going to step out for a little bit, so, listen carefully to the explanation of the finals for me. Okay, before reflecting, whatever comes next, it's up to Sasuke now. Sakura said, okay, as Kakashi turned away. Well then, starting now, I shall be explaining the finals. Hiruzen pondered, there are 5 Konoha, 3 Suna Ninja, and 1 Auto. This includes the absent Uchiha Sasuke. Alright, at last, Naruto pondered, the Konoha. Kabuto was kneeling in front of Orochimaru, who was leaning against a column somewhere in the village. The preliminaries have safely concluded, they will now proceed to the finals. Kabuto stated. How tranquil, or rather, how naively peaceful this nation has become, while all the other countries are busy with military expansion races, Orochimaru exclaimed. Kabuto got to his feet and said, so if we strike now? Well, yes, although I doubt it would be any fun to kill that feeble old geezer, Orochimaru replied. Are you so sure of yourself? To me, it still seems like you're faltering. Soon, the powers of each hidden village will collide and enter a fierce, lengthy conflict. Otogakure will be one of those involved, and you're planning to be the trigger of that, and to that end, that boy, he's a bullet, right? Uchiha Sasuke-kun, was it, replied Kabuto. Orochimaru remarked, hey, your insights are disgustingly accurate. Well, obviously not, because I didn't know about Dosu, Zaku and Kin. When I was assigned to gather intelligence on Sasuke-kun, I wanted to understand the power of those three auto ninja. I made a foolish tactical error. I even provoked them into attacking me, and overestimated my own defenses. It seems, you still don't put your full trust in me, isn't that right? Kabuto replied. Those three are so inconsequential, is it really necessary for me to tell of such trivialities? You're my right handman, that itself is evidence of my trust. That's why, I was thinking of entrusting Sasuke-kun to you. The curse mark one put on him, it seems it's been sealed by that pesky Kakashi, not that it's of much consequence. But before the darkness in his soul is extinguished, I want you to kidnap him right away. Orochimaru replied. Kabuto exclaimed, how unlike you, you're worried. Orochimaru remarked, there is something causing a bit of concern. Kabuto questioned, you mean, the chosen one, Uzumaki Naruto-kun? Hey, a very sharp kid, in fact. Orochimaru. Sasuke-kun is an embodiment of vengeance. His sole reason for living is the desire to kill his older brother. Until he achieves that goal, he cannot die, and yet, when we fought each other, even though he knew he couldn't prevail against me, he came at me without any fear of death. And I hadn't thought he was a child who would rush so eagerly to his demise. According to your notes, it seems that his contact with the Chosen One is changing Sasuke-kun's purpose in his soul. Since Naruto-kun possesses so much influence over Sasuke-kun, I must separate them immediately, as soon as I can. I've got to stain him with my colors, Orochimaru responded. Kabuto questioned, wouldn't it just be easier to kill Naruto-kun? No. My plans will be meaningless if the world is destroyed, and if I'm right, if Naruto-kun dies, the world won't last long enough for the next chosen one to become ready. Orochimaru replied. Kabuto said, well then, before turning around and beginning to move. Kabuto-kun, you, Orochimaru said, drawing the Auto Spy's attention. If you want to stop me, your only chance is to kill Sasuke-kun now. There's no way you could kill me, eh? Even if you're strong, you're no stronger than Kakashi. So, as the Snake Sanin said this, Kabuto became anxious and began to perspire. Hey, I'm joking, now, you may go. I'm putting my trust in you. Kabuto then gave a small smirk before shining away as Orochimaru thought, hey, that face. I wonder what he's thinking. Tower, Arena, and Forest of Death. As I mentioned earlier, you will conduct your final round matches in front of everyone. Each of you represents the battle strengths of your respective lands, so we want you to exhibit and fully showcase your various talents. And thus the finals will commence 1 month from now, said Hiruzen. Naruto questioned, we're not doing it right here, right now? Hiruzen stated, we refer to this as the requisite preparation period. Neji inquired, what do you mean? Well, it's a period of time that allows us to relay the results of the preliminaries to the rulers and shinobi leaders of each land, and to summon them to the finals, and it also serves as a preparation period for you applicants. Hiruzen continued. I still don't get it, what do you mean? Kankuro thought, this old geezer always beats around the bush. You must prepare to understand your enemy and understand yourself. During this period, you can analyze the intelligence you have gathered on your foes during the preliminaries, and use it to increase your chances of victory. Even though, up to this point, all the battles have been real battles, you were conducted on the premise that you were fighting an unknown enemy, Hiruzen stated. Yes, indeed. Shikamaru looked at Gaara out of the corner of his eye and thought, I never dreamed that this guy would use sand as a weapon. However, the finals are a different story. Some of you probably ended up exposing everything you've got in front of your rivals, and some of you may have gone up against comparatively strong opponents and found yourselves badly injured. In order to make the finals fair and just, we give you this month. Each of you must embrace the opportunity to practice hard, learn some new tricks, and of course get some rest, as well, Hiruzen stated. Hospital in Konoha. Kabuto sighed and walked over to the bed where Sasuke lay, where 3 dead Anbu agents were lying on the floor. He said, "We stood out too much. I wonder if catching Orochimaru Sama's eye will mean ruin for both of us. An excessive brilliance can be a disadvantage." Then he thought, he's so young. How could he have this demon dwelling in his heart? It will be useful to his end when he eventually transforms this child into Orochimaru and Konoha. Orochimaru thought, "Kabuto, maybe you will actually kill Sasuke-kun after all." Hospital in Konoha. After drawing a scalpel, Kabuto moved it closer to Sasuke's neck before abruptly hurling it at something or someone behind him. He said, "Only you, Kakashi, would think to stop my attack from my blind spot." After Kakashi had grasped the scalpel. You're no ordinary genin, are you? You made your attack immediately upon noticing my presence. You're pretty impressive," Kakashi responded. In response, Kabuto said, "No, I'm not so great." "What do you want with Sasuke?" "Depending on the circumstances, I'll have to arrest and interrogate you," Kakashi responded. Kabuto turned to the masked Jonin and said, "I wonder if you can, someone like you." Before asking, "What are you?" Kakashi questioned, "You want to test someone like me?" All the Anbu soldiers I had gathered were massacred by him, and he did it so effortlessly. "You're the son of a Konoha medic, right? A perpetual failure of a ninja. Your name is Kabuto, yes?" the masked Jonin asked after giving it some thought. "Next time, you should probably ready at least 10 guards," Kabuto replied. "Just shut up and answer my questions," Kakashi said. "And what if I refuse?" Kabuto asked. "I'm the one asking the questions here. Show some respect." "Are you in league with Orochimaru?" Kakashi asked, and Kabuto smirked. "If you arrest me here, right now, you might never be able to prove my connection to Orochimaru. No matter what kind of torture genjutsu you inflict upon me, I won't spill a single secret, and besides, I don't really like confrontations. It'll all come out eventually, so why don't you just let it go for now?" Kabuto said. You're just a selfish little brat, aren't you? You shouldn't mock your superiors," Kakashi said as he pulled out a kunai. "You won't just release me, then?" Kabuto said as he pulled out a knife. "You know the laws of this village, how spies are dealt with," Kakashi said. "You're acting awfully smug, considering that the circumstances are in my favor," Kabuto said before he held the knife over Sasuke's neck. Kabuto then thrusted the knife downwards, but Kakashi reacted quickly and appeared next to him before he struck the Nin's knife out of his hand while grabbing the spy's right leg and kicking him in the back so that he fell down on the floor. Then one of the dead Anbu suddenly rose up and ran for the door. "Oh, aha!" Kakashi thought before the Anbu noticed a second Kakashi standing on the other side of the door. "A Kage Bunshin," the Anbu said before he stopped and looked from Kakashi to Kakashi. Before a second, Anbu suddenly rose up and threw several kunais at the window before jumping through it, and Kakashi ran over to the window and looked down to see the Anbu remove his mask to reveal that it was Kabuto. "Darn it, he got away," Kakashi thought before he turned around to see the dead Anbu fall back down to the floor as the Kage Bunshin puffed out of existence. Amazing. He then walked over to the body of Kabuto and knelt down to see scar-like marks on his neck, and he thought, just as I thought. Shakan no Jutsu, used to temporarily restore a cadaver's heartbeat and manipulate the corpse. He surgically altered the face to make it resemble his own. I'm amazed. He was so thorough in his deception that he even erased the dead body's odor, and he stilled his own heartbeat, disguising himself as one of the Anbu operatives he had killed, to allow his escape. The influence of his adoptive father, the chief of the medical corps, is obvious, in the way he enjoys trifling with corpses. His moves would put even the Undertaker squad to shame. If such a talented person is working under Orochimaru, then, at this rate, I'll be obsolete soon, too. Tower, arena, and forest of death. So, those are the basics. I would like to let all go now, But first, there's one last thing we must do for the finals, Hiruzen said. Naruto shouted, "Hey, come on, I need to start training now." "Now then, don't be so impatient, there are slips of paper inside the box Anko is holding, each of you, take one," Hiruzen replied. Anko said, "I'll come around, so line up." "Okay." They're already lined up, Anko, Kurama no Kyubi. Then she approached Dosu, who reached into the box and said, "One per person." Anko then proceeded to Naruto, followed by Temari, Kankuro, Gaara, Shikamaru, Neji, and finally Shino after Dosu had picked up one of the paper slips. As Ibiki got ready to write their names on a tiny scoreboard he was holding, Hiruzen said, "All right, does everybody have one now? Then, starting at the left, each of you read out the number written on your slip." As Dosu put it, "I have 7. I got 1, exclaimed Naruto. Temari said, 8. 5, Kankuro uttered. Gaara said, 3. Shikamaru said, 9. 2, Neji uttered. Shino said, 6. Ibiki remarked, "So Uchiha will be number 4. Good. And now I will reveal the match order for the tournament. Style finals," Hiruzen replied. Shikamaru shouted, "So that's what the drawing was for?" Hiruzen said, "Well, Ibiki, show them the pairings." Ibiki said, "Yes sir," before he showed the scoreboard to the genin. Neji would be Naruto's opponent in the first battle. Sasuke vs Gaara would be the second one. Kankuro vs Shino would be the third fight, and Temari vs Shikamaru would be the fourth, with the victor facing Dosu. Dosu thought, "My match comes late in the game. What? It's a straightforward tournament for the finals," Temari pondered. "Dude, I need to fight one more round, and no thanks, I don't want to have to exact revenge on Choji," Shikamaru pondered. "Thank goodness, I'm in a different bracket than Gaara," Kankuro thought. "Uchiha. Sasuke," Gaara pondered. "Perfect," Neji thought, assuming the fight would be simple. "Hyuga Neji, right away. I couldn't have asked for a better foe," Naruto pondered. Shikamaru raised his hand in response to Hiruzen's statement, "Now then, it's time for you to go plan your strategies, rest up, or whatever you please. We're all finished here, unless any of you have questions?" "May I?" inquired the Nara. "Sure," exclaimed Hiruzen. "You said this is a tournament, so, there's only one winner, right? Then, does that mean only one person gets to become a Chunin?" replied Shikamaru. "No. That's not the case. For the finals, you will be observed by many judges, not only me, but the Kazekage and the rulers and shinobi leaders of countries that will be requesting missions, as well. Based on your performance in the tournament, those judges will assign you an absolute value, and all those who are deemed to have sufficient ability to be a Chunin, even those who may have lost in the first round, can become Chunin," Hiruzen clarified. "Do you mean, it's possible that all of us here could become Chunin?" replied Temari. "Hi. However, it is also possible that none of you will become Chunin. The advantage of fighting in more rounds in the tournament is in having a greater number of opportunities to display your talents for the judges. Does that answer your question, Shikamaru?" Hiruzen responded. Shikamaru thought, he didn't have to throw it back in my face. Geez. "Well then, good work, all, you are dismissed until 1 month from now," Hiruzen replied. "Gaara or Sasuke will be my opponent in the second round. He was strong enough to wipe the floor with bushy brows, so, Naruto thought before turning to face Gaara. He then recalled what Sasuke had said prior to the preliminary round. "Naruto, you're one of the ones that I want to fight." Naruto thought, "I'd better ask Kakashi Sensei for help unless I can find Zetsu Sensei somehow. Zetsu Sensei is always watching me, but I can't find him unless he wants me to." Sakura thought, "Sasuke-kun, against that guy." Naruto exclaimed, "Sakura-chan, where's Kakashi Sensei?" Sakura exclaimed, "He's probably with Sasuke-kun." Naruto exclaimed, "Thanks, Sakura-chan," and fled. Unknown place. There were 2 men conversing in what seemed to be a pitch black room. One of them walked with a cane, had shaggy black hair, an X-shaped scar on his chin, and was covered in bandages that covered most of his right face, hiding his right eye. He covered himself from his feet to just over his right shoulder with a black and gray robe that was worn over a white shirt. His right arm also seemed to be missing. The other was kneeling in front of him, with a mask with the kanji for "ne" on it covering his face and a black hooded robe covering his entire body. The man with the cane said, "I see, you may leave." The other man shunned him, saying, "So, the chosen one has made it to the third exams, and these abilities that he seems to possess could make him an ideal member of Root. How many seals has he visited so far?" The final valley, the border between the land of fire and the land of rice paddies. On top of the statue of Uchiha Madara's head sat a man with spiked black hair, dressed in strange black armor, his face obscured by a swirling orange mask with a single eye hole. Then, out of nowhere, Zetsu emerged from behind him. The man inquired, "How did it go?" Before Zetsu's white half took over, his black half stated, "It went mostly as expected. The chosen one got through the first 2 exams. But there were some unexpected turn of events." The man inquired, such as, Zetsu continued by telling him about Orochimaru's attack and a few other significant exam-related facts. "I see, so Orochimaru has finally decided to show himself, has he?" the individual replied. Zetsu said, "What should we do, Toby?" The man, now known as Toby, stated, "We sit back and wait. If there's a reason for us to become involved, however, we will." Zetsu added, "There's one more thing you should know." Toby said, "And what's that?" Zetsu exclaimed, "It concerns the Hyuga heiress." Toby exclaimed, "Let me hear it." Naruto stood in front of a hospital desk and exclaimed, "Hey! Where's Sasuke's hospital room?" A medic behind the desk announced, "Visiting hours are over." Naruto turned around in disappointment, just in time to see Kakashi emerge from a hallway. Naruto addressed his sensei, saying, "Oh, Kakashi. Sensei, hey, I need a favor." "Stop right there. I already know what you're about to ask, so, I've found someone to oversee your training." Kakashi responded. Naruto exclaimed, "Huh, I want you to train me, Kakashi. Sensei. I've got other things going on. I couldn't give you my full attention, but I found you an even better teacher than me." Kakashi replied. Naruto questioned, "Who is it?" A voice behind Naruto exclaimed, "Me." And the blonde chosen spun around. There stood Sarutobi Asuma, who said, "Huh. Hey, aren't you Shikamaru and Choji's sensei? Shouldn't you be training Shikamaru?" "Yes, and Shikamaru is being trained by his father. So Kakashi-san asked me to train you." Asuma responded. Memorial Stone Training Field, also known as Training Field 3. They arrived at the training field, and Asuma said, "All right Naruto, tell me, what techniques do you already know?" Well, I know Shunshin, Henge, Kawarimi, Tree, Walking, Water, Walking, Cage Bunshin and a few techniques I don't want to talk about. Naruto replied. Asuma remarked, "I see, well then I suppose that there's no need for me to teach you water. Walking like I had originally planned." He then took 2 slips of paper out of his pouch. As he accepted one, Naruto questioned, "What's this?" "They're chakra paper. If you channel your chakra into them, you'll find out what change in chakra nature you have." Asuma clarified. Naruto questioned, "Change in chakra nature?" Naruto nodded in response to Asuma's question. "Yes, you know Sasuke's Kaden jutsus, right? Kaden is one of the 5 main elements that you can use for ninjutsu." Asuma nodded in response to Naruto's question, 5 main elements. There's Kaden fire, Futon wind, Raiden lightning, Doden earth and Suiden water. Each person is born with the affinity for at least one of these 5 elements. Of course there's also some who are born with 2 and they are able to combine those 2 elements into a different element. Asuma clarified. Naruto said, "Oh, you mean like Haku's Hyoden ice?" "Right, Hyoden comes from the combination of Futon and Suiden." Asuma responded. "But what about Gaara's sand? What's that the combination of?" replied Naruto. Asuma held up the paper slip and channeled chakra through it before it split in 2, saying, "That's just a variation of Doden. Now watch closely. Futon, it splits, Raiden, it wrinkles, Doden, it turns to dust, Suiden, it gets damp, and Kaden, it burns to ashes." After channeling his chakra through his chakra paper, Naruto held it up, and to their surprise, the paper began to glow. The slip quickly became wet, wrinkled, and split in 2, with one half turning to dust and the other half burning to ashes before the dust abruptly turned to ice. Naruto said, "Okay, what just happened?" Still in disbelief, Asuma remarked, "It looks like you've got all 5 main elements." The title, 5 Elements, was given to Naruto because he possesses all 5 of the primary elements. "I'm the chosen one, so it must be," Naruto thought. Hee, wait till I rub this into Sasuke's face. "Well, I only have the affinity for futon, but I do have Kaiden jutsus too. Those are the only 2 elements I can teach you, however," Asuma replied. Asuma required Naruto to train on mastering both the fire and wind changes in chakra nature during the first week. It would be an understatement to say that Asuma was taken aback by Naruto's development. Based on what he had heard about the blonde, he believed he would never complete the elemental training, but it only took him a day to change his mind. What a genius the boy was. They focused on futon and Kaiden jutsus during the second week, and by the end of it, Naruto had learned 2 Kaiden jutsus, 3 futon jutsus, and how to use futon chakra to extend the range of his kunai and shuriken. However, Naruto failed to inform Asuma that he had successfully fused Kaiden and Kamiden, origami, to produce shuriken and explosive paper kunai. He made the decision to take a vacation from training for once on the first day of the third week and went to the nearby hot spring to unwind. But when he arrived, he saw a man looking into the women's bath. He had long white hair and a big scroll on his back. The man turned to face Naruto, who said, "Hey, what do you think you're doing, you pervert? Hey, go away. Shoo. You're interfering in my research," the man replied. Naruto remarked, "Research? Don't play dumb, I saw you peeping." The man pulled out an orange book and said, "It's the best way for me to come up with ideas for this book that I'm writing." Naruto yelled, "Hey, that's that dirty book Kakashi. Sensei's always reading." "Dirty? Why you?" the man burst out. Naruto questioned, "Who the heck are you, anyway?" The man struck an odd pose and exclaimed, "I am the most holy Sennin of Mount Mayuboku Toads, otherwise known as the Gamma. Sennin. Pleased to meet ya." Jiraiya was given the title of Gamma Sennin. He is the renowned Sennin from Mount Mayuboku and one of the well-known Konoha trio known as the legendary 3 Sannin. Naruto exclaimed, "Gamma Sennin," before considering, "That's Jiraiya of the legendary 3 Sannin. That person who taught San. I might be able to train him." The man, who was now identified as Jiraiya, said, "Now, would you mind leaving? I've got more research to do." Naruto said, "First, can I ask you something?" "What?" inquired Jiraiya. "Would you mind training me for the third part of the Chunin exams?" asked Naruto. "Don't be stupid, Gaki. I would never train a complete green horn like yourself," Jiraiya replied. Naruto remarked, "A green horn? Before considering, if he's the one who taught San, then he should be aware of this small trick." To Jiraiya's surprise, Naruto then entered over limit. Jiraiya inquired, "Hey, how do you know about over limit?" Naruto said, "Will you train me now?" Jiraiya replied, "All right, I'll train you." Naruto said, "Okay, let's begin tomorrow. Konoha, close to Kikyo Castle." Subsequently, Hayate was listening in on the conversation between Baki and Kabuto as they stood in the shadows. "You know, if they discover that we're secretly meeting here, the plot to destroy Konoha and everything else we've planned, it will all come to naught. I heard you were Orochimaru's right hand man, but nonchalantly coming to meet with me despite having been found out by Konoha, you are quite the fool," Baki responded. "Actually, truth be told, I wasn't found out. I deliberately revealed myself to them. I wanted to see what the reaction from Konoha would be, and even after that, I still have a plan to kidnap Sasuke," Kabuto continued. "You Auto Ninja are the ones who proposed this scheme to us in the first place, but if you all continue with these blunders, we'll be forced to withdraw our support. Suna will not make our move until the very end. That is Kazekage. Sama's will," Baki responded. "What am I listening to?" Hayate pondered. Kabuto handed Baki a scroll and said, "This is the blueprint for all our plans. So, pass the information along soon, to your subordinates, please." "Sure," Baki replied. Kabuto said, "Well, I'm done here. Sanagakure, our purported ally, is already working with Otto. I must inform Hokage Sama immediately." Before heading out, Hayate thought, but the two enemy ninjas heard him make a little crunching noise. "Oh, and one more thing. I'll take care of the cleanup. I'll find out who's on our tail and take care of him," Kabuto replied. When Baki said, "No, I'll do it," as a gesture of our allegiance. The least we Suna ninja can do is lend a helping hand. Besides, one little mouth is no big deal. Hayate realized he had been caught, and he and Baki shunned everyone up to a roof. As they both emerged onto the roof, Baki questioned, well, Proctor.san, why are you out here alone?" With his katana in one hand and half a sign in the other, Hayate remarked, "It seems I have no choice but to fight you." Cough. After shouting out the name of his technique, Hayate hurried over to Baki and struck Suna.nin in the right shoulder, saying, "Konoha. Ryu. Mikazuki no Mai." Baki remarked, "This move, the Konoha. Ryu. Mikazuki no Mai. You've mastered it, at such a young age. Leave it to Konoha to have its players lined up," as Hayate tried to draw the sword once more but soon realized he couldn't. "What?" he thought, "I can't get my blade out." Before holding out his arm with the thumb, middle finger, and index finger pointing up, Baki remarked, "Your blade work is brilliant, but it's a simple task to halt a physical blade. However, blades of wind are impossible to stop." Baki then made a slashing motion with his hand. "What the?" were Hayate's final words. The following day, by a waterfall outside Konoha. Outside the village, some women were taking a bath under a waterfall, and Jiraiya was standing behind some bushes above the waterfall, gazing down at the women. The perverted Sennin said, "Now, I'm going to instruct you in this move." Naruto shouted, "Hey, come on, I'm over here, eyes on me, arrow." Sennin. Jiraiya turned and approached him. "All right. The move I'm about to teach you is the Kachiyose no Jutsu," Jiraiya replied. Jiraiya nodded in response to Naruto's question, "Kachiyose? That's right. You make a binding blood pact with an animal, and then you can use ninjutsu to summon it to your side whenever you want. It's a type of space time ninjutsu," Jiraiya replied. "Cool, show me," cried Naruto. Jiraiya smirked over the palm of his left hand and bit his thumb after saying, "All right." After demonstrating a few hand signals, he slammed his palm to the floor and yelled, "Kachiyose no Jutsu." In a puff of smoke, a huge 12-foot tall toad with a large scroll in his mouth materialized, and he used his tongue to bring the scroll down to Naruto. Naruto unrolled the scroll and placed it on the ground. Jiraiya explained, "This contract with the summoning toads has been passed down through the generations. First, you sign your name with your own blood, and then below that, you make a fingerprint impression with all your fingers of one hand. After that's done, when you're in a place where you want to call the toads, prepare your chakra. Place the hand with which you signed the contract palm down on the ground, and make the following signs: I, Inu, Tori, Saru, Hitsuji." Finally, Naruto signed his name on the contract before biting his thumb. When he finished, Naruto said, "All right, that's it. Now, give it a shot," Jiraiya exclaimed. After going over the hand signals, Naruto exclaimed, "I'm on it," and slammed his right palm down on the ground, saying, "Kachiyose no Jutsu." A tiny orange toad then materialized in a puff of smoke. The toad looked up at Naruto and said, "Huh? Hey, who are you?" Naruto was given the title Summoner of Toads because he has a contract with the Mount Mayuboku toads that allows him to call upon them when he needs them. Jiraiya thought, "The Gaki is better than I thought," summoning Gamakichi on his first try. 3 days later, the Land of Wind, Suna, and Cage Tower. Baki had shown his team the plans after killing Hayate, and then he had left Konoha and gone to Suna. After arriving in his hometown 3 days later, he made his way straight to the Cage Tower to deliver the plans to Gaara's father, Yondaime Cage. The Cage said, "You did well, good job, Baki. All three have safely advanced, as we intended, to the final rounds," Baki stated. The Cage inquired, "Now, it truly begins. How is the pact with Otto coming?" Baki handed the scroll to the Cage and said, "Here is their plan of attack, sir." The Cage remarked, "Well then, I look forward to your work on the decisive day. However, Cage-sama, since there are just 4 of us, including myself, Could we not dispatch troops to the border with the land of fire under the guise of drills? Baki responded. The Konoha ninja are no fools. Their Anbu teams are patrolling all over. If they notice any troop movement, our intentions will be transparent to them. One of the Cage's guards stated before picking a paper up. As expected, the military presence being allowed into Konohagakure has been severely restricted. That is precisely why we sent Gaara and the others. The Cage said, now then, go, instead. Baki said, as you wish, and then walked away to Konoha. The Fire Land, Konoha to say that Jiraiya was taken aback when the blonde was able to call forth Gamabunta, the chief of the Toads, would be an understatement. Naruto spent the remainder of the week training with the Kachiyose no Jutsu. The final training week before the finals had finally arrived, and Jiraiya had a big surprise in store for the blonde. As they left the village, Naruto said, hey, Ero, Sennin, where are we going? Ah, perfect. Jiraiya said before they entered a clearing, somewhere with a lot of room, where no one will see us. Naruto questioned, what are we doing here? Here, I'm going to teach you an A-ranked ninjutsu. Are you ready to learn it? Jiraiya replied. Alright, shouted Naruto, and Jiraiya grinned at his excitement. Hospital in Konoha. 1 week later Jiraiya made the decision to take Naruto to Konoha's hospital because he had trained quite a bit and had exhausted himself by the end of the week. Naruto needed to rest because the finals were only 2 days away. To Naruto's surprise, Shikamaru was sitting next to his bed when he woke up the following day. Shikamaru said, hey, you finally woke up, where am I? Inquired Naruto. The hospital, exclaimed Shikamaru. Naruto questioned, where is Ero? Sennin, why am I here with you? Huh? How should I know? I mean, I'm here because I came to visit Choji, even though it's a total drag. When I heard you were laid out too, I poked my head in, Shikamaru replied. Naruto questioned, what? He got hurt that bad? Naruto laughed when Shikamaru remarked, not quite. After his match, Choji ate too much barbecue, and got a severe case of indigestion. He exclaimed, that's just like Choji. Shikamaru placed a fruit basket on the hospital bed and remarked, you two aren't the type to get female visitors, so, oh, right. It's a huge drag. I bought this fruit basket for Choji, but he's not allowed to have it, doctor's orders. So let's eat it ourselves. Shikamaru nodded in response to Naruto's question, cool, you sure? Man, you're a pretty good guy. Before Naruto looked up abruptly and said, huh? What? Shikamaru said, shut up, it would just be a shame to let it go to waste. Naruto remarked, I'm feeling uneasy. Hospital Konoha, Lee's room. In the hospital in Konoha, Lee was dozing off in his bed. Sakura had brought him a flower, which was on the bedside nightstand. The door opened abruptly, and Gaara entered before remembering that Guy had saved the boy and getting a terrible headache. Why? Before the headache went away, he wondered, and he went to Lee. He reached for the boy's head as sand began to flow over Lee's body from his gourd, but he was unable to move before he could clench his hand. Before Naruto punched him, he thought, I can't move. Naruto shouted, hey, what do you think you're doing? Hey, Naruto, don't forget, while I've got the Kage thing going. Anything you do to him, I feel it too. Shikamaru replied. Kurama no Kyuubi. However, the way he knocked out Kin didn't affect him, and I've witnessed people he had gotten under the Kage get hit, but he was fine on multiple occasions. Naruto glared at Gaara after saying, sorry, Shikamaru, what the heck are you trying to pull? What were you trying to do to Bushi? Brows. I wanted to kill him, Gaara said quietly. What? Said Naruto. What gives him such composure? And why would you want to do that? Shikamaru asked after thinking, my Kage should paralyze him, but you won your match against him. Is there something personal against you? No, that is not the case. Gaara uttered, I want to kill him because, I just want to kill him. Are you even aware of what you're saying? Do you? Naruto shouted. You were not raised properly, were you? Shikamaru remarked, you're so self-centered, but then he thought, he's actually really creepy. I'm getting chills. If he goes for it, he might be too much for Naruto and me to handle alone. Geez, what do we do? Gaara declared, I'll kill you too if you try to interfere. Gaara was given the title, I'll kill you. He will kill you if you're strong, regardless of who you are. What? Try it, Please, Naruto shouted. Hey, stop it, Naruto. Before thinking, let's see if I can pull one over on him, Shikamaru remarked. I've seen you fight. I know you're strong. However, as you can see, Naruto and I are both quite skilled fighters. Both of us still have untested moves in our repertoire. It'll be 2 against 1, 2. You will therefore be at a disadvantage. However, we'll let you go if you promise to keep Lee alone. Nothing was harmed. I'll say this once more, if you keep interfering, I'll kill you, Gaara replied. It was Shikamaru who thought, this guy. Oh, I see. Try it out. We'll be more than a match for you. I believe, I have a real, living monster inside of me, even though you may have monster. Like strength. Naruto uttered those words. A monster, huh? In fact, I also own one of those. I wasn't raised right, as you mentioned. I killed the woman I was meant to call mother during my birth. My father used ninjutsu to implant an incarnation of sand inside of me in order to create the strongest shinobi in the world. I was born a monster. Gaara uttered those words. An embodiment of sand, Shikamaru pondered. Known as Shukaku, it was the spirit of a former Sanagakure elder that had been sealed inside a teakettle. Gaara continued. A form of possession art in which a fetus is taken by force. It's insane to go that far, Shikamaru remarked. Naruto thought, he has something inside of him, too. Hey, what sort of parent would do such a thing? How perverse love is, Shikamaru remarked. Love. Let me explain what family means to me. Don't judge me by your standards. Just flesh hulls bound together by murderous intent and hatred. In order to bring me to life as Keisuke's son and the village's greatest masterpiece, my mother's life had to be sacrificed. I learned a series of secret shinobi skills from my father. I was pampered, overprotected, and raised in seclusion. Until the incident, I mistakenly believed that to be love, Gaara remarked. What happened? Shikamaru inquired. What are you discussing? What on earth took place? Naruto inquired as Gaara broke into a savage grin. My father has been attempting to kill me for the last 6 years, ever since I turned 6. I can't even remember how many times he's tried, Gaara remarked. What? But what do you mean when you say that your father spoiled you? Shikamaru inquired. An excessively strong presence turns into one that is feared. I was born using jutsu, so my mind is unstable. It seems the village idiots finally realized I had emotional problems. As Keisuke, I was the village's most powerful weapon, but I was also a dangerous and frightening object. Apparently, they decided I was too much of a liability when I turned 6. Before then, I had just been treated carefully, just like any other dangerous tool. I am now seen by them as a remnant of the past that they would like to forget. What do I exist for, then? Why am I still here? When I first asked myself that question, I couldn't think of a response. I need a reason, though, while I am still alive. Otherwise, Gaara remarked, I might as well be dead. What is he discussing? Shikamaru asked himself in a whisper. Naruto thought, I think I understand, this guy, he's just like me. So this is what I came up with, I exist to kill all humans other than myself. After living in excruciating fear and knowing that I could be killed at any time, I at last found inner peace. I found a purpose for living and was able to defend my own existence by killing those who wanted to kill me. I would only love myself and fight for myself. There is no more magnificent world than this one if everyone else exists only to amplify that love. They enable me to enjoy life to the fullest. As long as there are people for me to murder, I will continue to exist, Gaara remarked. This is frightening, Shikamaru thought. But this guy, he's still living all alone, only able to assert his existence by killing others. I never knew people like him existed. The world that he lives in, it's too different from ours. There's just no way that we can win against him, Naruto thought as he began to tremble in fear. I used to be like that too, all alone, not knowing why I was alive, in pain, but then Iruka Sensei finally noticed me, acknowledged me, and for the first time, I felt warmth and love. What is wrong, Naruto? Just before Gaara's sand began to come to life, Shikamaru asked, reaching his breaking point. Now, please make me feel alive. Before Guy abruptly came into the room and attracted everyone's attention, Gaara said. Tomorrow is the start of the finals. Unless you're keen to become an inpatient today, don't be in such a rush. He said that right before Gaara walked to the door after getting a headache. Then he left, saying, "I will kill you all, just you wait." The following day from the top of the village walls, Hiruzen gazed down on the delegates from the various lands as they entered Konohagakure no Sato through the gates. He said, "And so it begins, stadium in Konoha." Later, everyone was in the stadium where the finals would be held. Naruto saw that Sasuke was still missing when he entered the battleground where the applicants would be fighting, but Shikamaru, Neji, Shino, Gaara, Kankuro, Tamari, and Dosu were already there. Sasuke-kun's still not here, Ino expressed from this spot in the stands. Naruto looked around, wondering, where the hell is Sasuke? Hey! Give up fidgeting. You are all the stars of these finals, so remain motionless and face the guests, Genma said, the new exam proctor. Naruto pondered, what happened to Hayate, sensei? The cage block. Where has Sasuke disappeared to? Hiruzen asked Rado, his bodyguard. Rado whispered, he may already be in Orochimaru's clutches. If that's the case, we might never find him, after stating, we still have several Anbu teams out searching for him, but there's no trace. Before noticing that the cage had entered the cage block, Hiruzen said, understood. Ah, well, cage, dono. Sakura, Ino, and stands in any case, Naruto's match is first, so why don't you stop worrying and support him? I know you're worried about Sasuke-kun. Sakura, who was seated beside her, was informed by Ino. Yes, indeed. Sakura uttered those words. The cage block. Hiruzen remarked, you must be exhausted from your lengthy journey. Apologies, but I'm glad to go. You're still healthy, of course, but the journey may have been a little more taxing for you, Hokage. Dono. The cage remarked, perhaps you should select your successor soon. Well, don't bury me just yet. I intend to stay here for at least another 5 years. Well, then, we should get started. Ahem, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests. Welcome and heartfelt thanks for gathering here in Konohagakure for the Chunin examination. Hiruzen said, rising to address the entire assembly. The final round matches between the 9 candidates who made it through the preliminary round will now start. Please take a seat back and have fun. The arena. Hey. Hello. Genma turned around as Naruto spoke. What? Did he ask? What will happen now that Sasuke isn't here? Naruto inquired. He will lose by forfeit if he does not show up before the start of his own match. Genma uttered those words. As Gaara reflected on an incident from a few weeks prior, Naruto thought, this is weird. Knowing Sasuke, I figured he'd be here even if he'd have to crawl. Rewind. Gaara was using his third eye to spy on Kakashi and Sasuke as they trained while he was concealed behind a big rock. Sasuke, here I come again. Gaara's hand began to slowly clench as Kakashi spoke. The end of the flashback. Baki was sitting in the stands, staring down at Gaara as he remembered the few hours a few weeks ago that Gaara had spent away from their room at the inn. Rewind. Where do you suppose you're heading? Baki inquired as Gaara approached the door. Gaara responded, to verify my existence. The end of the flashback. Even after I explained to him how crucial it was to avoid drawing attention to himself, the Sunajonin thought, don't tell me, he had better not have killed him. The arena. Everyone, pay attention. This is the final test. As with the preliminary round, there are no hard and fast rules, even though the terrain may be different. Unless I decide that a clear winner has already been decided, in which case I'll end the match before anyone is killed. You fight until one of you dies or concedes defeat. You get it? Alright, then, Genma said, pausing for a few seconds before continuing. Match 1. Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Neji. Stand down here, you two, and go to the waiting area outside the arena, everyone else. As the others left the arena, Naruto and Neji remained there, facing one another. Kiba, Hinata, and stands. When Kiba and Hinata arrived at the stands, they discovered that nearly every seat was occupied. Kiba went down to try to locate 2 seats that were free, and he succeeded. Hey Hinata, this seat has 2 seats. He uttered those words. Hinata said, arigato. Akamaru was sitting on Kiba's shoulder when Hinata walked down and they sat down together. This show is going to be amazing, Kiba exclaimed. Hinata mused, Naruto. Sakura, Ino, and stands. But against Neji, Naruto hasn't got a chance, said Ino. Kiba, Hinata, and Stans, I never thought that scamp would last so long, Katetsu, who was seated beside Hinata, remarked. Well, but by now, everyone who was surviving solely on luck has been removed. Additionally, this Naruto kid drew a formidable foe. He has no chance whatsoever against a Hyuga clan member, Azumo remarked. But before Akamaru licked his cheek to get his attention, Kiba thought, well, that's what I used to think, too. But if you underestimate him, you're in for a big surprise. What is it, Akamaru? Kiba asked, and Akamaru let out quite barks. What? Where? Kiba began to scan the area when he noticed a man wearing a mask and a white robe. Over there. Why the heck are Anbu agents here? Is something big about to happen? Kiba asked. The arena? Do you have anything to say? Neji inquired, and Naruto extended his arm while clenching his fist. I've said it before. I promise to prevail. Neji activated his Byakugan as Naruto spoke. Neji thought, he has complete faith in himself, as if he has no doubts at all. Alright, let's start with match 1. Neji adopted the Juken stance as Genma spoke. Ho ho, it's more fun this way anyway. I can't wait to see the despair in your eyes. What the truth finally dawns on you, he replied. Stop yapping and let's battle. Naruto shouted. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and Stans. Hyuga Hiyashi, the leader of the Hyuga clan, and Hyuga Hanabi, his youngest daughter, were seated in the stands. The Hyuga blood flows thicker in his veins than in anyone else's. Watch closely, Hanabi. Hiyashi responded. Hanabi said, Hi, 2.san. The arena Naruto thought, if I get too close to him, he'll press my tenketsu and I won't be able to use any jutsu, so I've got to fight him from a distance, before he made the Kage Bunshin hand sign, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Suddenly, 4 copies of the blonde appeared, and all 5 of them produced a kunai. Sakura, Ino, and Stans, well done, Naruto. Kage Bunshins are perfect, Sakura reflected. Kiba, Hinata, Katetsu, Azumo, and Stans Katetsu remarked, hey, he's a quirky kid. Kage Bunshin's jutsu is at the level of a Jonin. Azumo remarked, I'm shocked that he can do something so sophisticated. Katetsu remarked, this is going to be interesting. The arena? Kage Bunshins. I see. Since his chakra is equally distributed among all the Bunshins, even my Byakugan won't be able to determine which of the bodies is the genuine article. Neji pondered for a moment before stating, but, in the end, there is only one actual body. Hey, don't have too much faith. Naruto uttered those words. Neji said, then, if you dare, come at me. Tenten, Stans. Tenten thought, it's pointless. Neji's defense is flawless. The arena? Hey. One of the clones said, don't, another said, underestimate. The third said, me. Okay. Neji jumped into the air as he flipped and tapped the back of 2 of the clones' heads, causing them to fall forward, but the 4th and last clone said this before all 4 of them charged at him. Look over there. As he and the 4th clone approached Neji, one of the other 2 clones screamed, hoping to strike him before he could hit the ground. However, the Hyuga whirled in midair and kicked them away. He then grabbed their wrists, elbowed them in the chin, turned around, and struck their stomachs with his palm, causing them to puff into smoke as the other 2 clones charged at him from behind. You want to be Hokage, don't you? That won't happen, in my opinion. With these eyes of mine, I can pretty much tell that talent and abilities are predetermined at birth. That is to say, your entire fate is predetermined from the moment of your birth, Neji stated. What's causing your stubbornness? Why are you so certain that the future will be bleak and dark? Naruto shouted. So, are you implying that anyone can become Hokage with enough effort? Few shinobi are even given the opportunity to be Hokage. Get up and deal with the facts. That fate is innate in those who will become Hokage. You must be preselected. You cannot get there by trying. Every person's life is nothing more than being carried by the unstoppable tide of their fate. We all share one fate, which is death, Neji remarked. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and Stans Hiyashi thought, those eyes. His resentment of the main branch of the family is still strong. The arena? Well, so what? I suppose I am simply a bitter loser. Before drawing a kunai and charging at Neji, Naruto screamed. A frontal assault? Do you really want to lose this? Neji inquired. Well, I warned you against assuming anything about the future, Naruto shouted. Sakura, Ino, and Stans. What is that baka doing, in your opinion? That kind of direct assault on Neji? Did Ino ask? Sakura said, I don't know, but then she thought, he must have a plan, though. Outside the stadium in Konoha Kabuto was perched on a tree branch, crouching over a deceased Anbu agent. As he took off the ANBU's mask and put it on, he thought, I've got quite a tough job ahead of me. I hope you can at least give me a good show, Chosen.kun. The arena the Hyuga struck forward with a palm strike as Naruto got close to Neji, but he saw that Naruto's ring briefly appeared to glow and the blonde disappeared. Neji then struck with a palm strike to his left, and abruptly, Naruto was sent skidding backwards. What? How? Did he ask? I heard you when you told the auto nins that ring of yours can slow down time, so I've been training to hone my Byakugan to be able to track even the fastest moving objects. Neji clarified. Before making the Tora sign, Naruto remarked, I see. I guess I could show you this ring's other ability. Before Neji realized that the ring's stone had turned red and that Naruto was pointing it at him, he asked himself, other ability. Before a huge fireball erupted out of the ring and headed toward Neji, Naruto said, Now, let's see how you like this. The Hyuga escaped the heated oxygen ball before charging at Naruto and hitting one of his tenketsu. Kiba, Hinata, Katetsu, Azumo, and Stans. Naruto.kun, called Hinata. Katetsu stated, that's it, he's done for, the arena. Neji took a few steps back and remarked, I told you it was useless. And I warned you not to assume too much, before puffing away into smoke. Naruto uttered those words. It's not possible. Neji remarked as he turned around and saw Naruto holding his kunai high in the air as the smoke from the fireball's impact began to fade. Kiba, Hinata, Katetsu, Azumo, and Stans, all right, Naruto, go, Kiba applauded. Naruto.kun. Hinata exclaimed. The arena, he was inside the fireball, but how? And when could he have made that bunshin? Neji wondered before recalling Naruto slowing down time. How couldn't I have noticed it? He must have made that bunshin while he had slowed down time. I entered this match with the intention of losing from the beginning, Naruto yelled before he swung the kunai downwards, Demon Fang. The Hyuga leapt to his left to avoid the sudden crescent-shaped wave of energy that shot out of the kunai and headed directly for Neji, but Naruto appeared beneath him and swung the kunai upwards. Tiger Blade. The blonde Chosen yelled as he leapt into the air, carrying Neji with him. At the top of his leap, he swung the kunai downward, causing Neji to crouch in front of Naruto as he landed on his feet. Then the Hyuga struck with a palm strike, but the blonde skidded backwards as Neji kicked to his right and Naruto disappeared. Are you never going to learn? Before Naruto went through a series of hand signals, Neji said, slowing down time around you isn't gonna help you here. Before fragments of his palms appeared to tear themselves away as they transformed into paper and folded into shuriken, Naruto uttered, Kamiden. Kami Shuriken no Jutsu. And then adding in some Kaden chakra. The two shuriken then began to burn, and Naruto hurled them at Neji, who leapt out of the way before the shuriken could strike him. However, as soon as they hit the ground, they exploded. Kurenai, Asuma, and stands as he watched the fight, Asuma thought, infusing Kaden chakra into those paper shuriken to turn them into explosive tags, not a bad idea. The arena. He has a fire affinity, which is unfortunate because I can easily avoid any Kaden jutsus he might have, Neji thought. Then, channeling futon chakra through his kunai, Naruto charged at Neji. Before he prepared to counter the kunai, Neji thought, attacking head. Unlike this again, you're really a one trick pony, aren't you? But then he noticed something. Wait, there's chakra surrounding the kunai, futon chakra? Naruto swung his kunai as he got closer to Neji, but it didn't even penetrate the Hyuga's clothing. Then he saw that the Hyuga was spinning incredibly fast, and Naruto was flung backwards. He thought, WH. What the heck just happened? You believe that I was defeated? Neji inquired. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and Stans, unbelievable, thought Hiyashi. Sakura, Ino, and Stans. What's happening? I am aware that Naruto struck him with that kunai. Sakura uttered those words. Kiba, Hinata, Katetsu, Azumo, and stands. Yeah, Hinata thought. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and stands. Kaiten, thought Hiyashi. Tenten, stands. That's Neji's defense. The visual range of Neji's Byakugan is almost a full 360 degrees. In other words, he can pretty much see a full circle around him, and with that same all-seeing eye, he can anticipate all of his opponent's attacks. From now on, Neji will be shielded within the Hakesho Kaiten. The instant before an attack reaches him, he emits a large amount of chakra from the Tenketsu all over his body, halting the enemy's attack with a cocoon of chakra. And then he moves his body in a circle like a spinning top, repelling and reflecting the attack. Normally, chakra that is emitted from the Tenketsu is difficult to control. Even Jonin can usually only utilize such chakra from a single body, part at a time, like hands or feet, but Neji, a master of the Juken, can emit chakra from his entire body, and with that emitted power alone, can physically block attacks. You could consider it another kind of absolute defense. That's even more powerful than Gaara's, Tenten thought. Kurama no Kyuubi. And how does she know of Gaara's ultimate defense? She wasn't there. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and Stan's Hanabi uttered the words, that's your. But Neji was able to independently recreate it on his own. His brilliance is far beyond what I had ever imagined, Hiyashi stated, before reflecting. The Kaiten is a secret art that is passed down only within the Hyuga main branch, taught by the head of the family to the heir alone. Tenten thought, and that's not the end of it. Neji's true show of strength is only beginning. The arena, dude. As he got back up, Naruto remarked, well, if that didn't work, how about this? He then demonstrated a number of hand signals. Futon. Kamikaze no Jutsu. He then blasted Neji with a tremendous gust of wind, sending the Hyuga crashing into the wall. Neji stood up and charged at Naruto, saying, I see, your affinity isn't fire after all, but wind. Neji tried to hit the blonde with a palm strike, but before he could do so, a strong shockwave from Naruto's body sent him skidding backward a few feet as the blonde entered over limit. Neji thought, over limit, I have to finish this, before changing positions and saying, Hake Rokuhuion Sho. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and stands. It can't be that stance, Hiyashi thought. The arena Neji then struck Naruto's Tenketsu twice in a row, then 4 times in a row, then 8 times, 16 times, 30.2 times, and finally 64 times. The fact that Naruto hadn't even moved from his position startled everyone, but when Neji looked up and saw Naruto's smirk, his eyes widened and he realized that the blonde's Tenketsu hadn't been harmed by his attacks. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and Stanzo, Hizashi, perhaps you will bring down the house of Hyuga after all. A member of the cadet branch, has surpassed the main branch entirely. He truly is a formidable natural talent, so the divine shinobi blood of the Hyuga clan resides in a child of the cadet branch who can never become heir, Hiyashi thought. The arena, how? Before he leapt back, away from Naruto, Neji asked. The majority of an attack's damage can be absorbed by the over-limit aura, which can serve as a shield. The blonde clarified, and your Juken won't even be able to get through it. He can use jutsus without worrying about chakra depletion and he won't need hand signs while he's like this, so it's not good, Neji thought. Neji, I'm curious as to why you felt the need to murder Hinata, Naruto inquired. Alright, let me tell you about the Hyuga clan's hateful history. There is a secret birthright ninjutsu passed down, in the Hyuga main branch, Neji stated before considering, if I tell him, it would be by my time and he will be forced out of over-limit. It's a curse mark jutsu, actually. A jutsu curse mark, Naruto inquired. This curse mark symbolizes a caged bird, and is evidence that some people are unable to break free from their destinies, Neji said as he removed his Hite.8. What the fuck? Naruto stated that Neji had a manji symbol on his forehead. Isn't that the mark? Naruto inquired. Neji then told Naruto how Kumo had made an alliance with Konoha 9 years prior, and how one night after that, Hinata had almost been abducted, but the kidnapper was swiftly defeated by Hiyashi, who was none other than Kumo's shinobi ruler. Kumo then wanted Hiyashi's head, and Konoha agreed, but instead of Hiyashi, they sent Hizashi, Neji's father. I'm going to defeat you. That's true, Neji stated. Until we try, you can't be certain, As Neji donned his Hite.8, Naruto remarked, I realize how devastated you must have been by the death of your father, but I don't think you're correct to believe that everyone's fates are set in stone. Neji stated, you're hopeless, after noticing that the blonde's aura had disappeared. He then charged at him and hit him with a palm strike, sending Naruto flying backwards before slamming into the ground. Neji turned to go, saying, what a failure, Proctor, we're finished here. Neji watched Naruto get back up on his feet and say, I won't run away, I never, go back on my word, don't you turn your back. Hey, I think I've heard that line before, Neji replied. A coward like you cannot defeat me. I will not lose to someone who thinks that he should just accept his fate. Naruto uttered those words. What a joke. Quit lecturing us all like you know anything. Before remembering something his father had told him, Neji stated, everyone is born bearing a destiny that cannot be defied. Neji, you, more than anyone else, you've been blessed with the genius of the Hyuga clan. I wish you could have been born into the main branch. How could you possibly comprehend my fate? That is, that I am cursed with an unbreakable, irreversible curse. The prodigy from Hyuga shouted. What are you talking about? You don't know, hey, you should feel honored, I just decided to finish you off with my strongest jutsu, Naruto said, his eyes suddenly turning crimson. Every adult from Konoha in the stadium was taken aback when chakra suddenly materialized in Naruto's right hand. It began spiraling in all directions and formed a perfect, blue sphere. They had witnessed that jutsu being performed previously by the yellow flash. Kiba, Hinata, Katetsu, Azumo, and Stans, hey, what kind of jutsu is that? Kiba didn't ask anyone in particular. That child never ceases to amaze me. To the surprise of Kiba and Hinata, Katetsu said, that's the Rasengan, a jutsu made by the Yondaime, if I'm not mistaken. Kurenai, Asuma, and Stans, when was Naruto able to perform the Rasengan? Kurenai inquired. Well, Jiraiya. Sama did take over Naruto's training after 2 weeks, so I suppose he must have taught the kid, Asuma replied. Hanabi, Hiyashi, and Stans, Rasengan, if the child is aware of that, the fight is already over, and Neji cannot protect himself from that, not even with the Kaden, Hiyashi pondered. The cage block, Rasengan, so that's what you taught him, Jiraiya? Hiruzen thought. The arena, hey, you think that'll work? You can't change your fate, Neji said confidently. Oh yeah? Well, I won't know till I try, Naruto uttered those words before rushing towards Neji. It's useless. The Hyuga said, and before Naruto could get to him, he began to spin, Kaden. Rasengan. As he pushed his arm forward and struck Neji's ultimate defense, Naruto yelled. Tenten, Stans Tenten thought, it's pointless. When Neji performs his Kaden, he spins in a circle, blocking and repelling his opponent's chakra. The arena a huge explosion occurred, and Naruto skidded out of the dust cloud that had formed. When the cloud cleared, Naruto smirked and Neji were nowhere to be seen. It's finished. When he said that, everyone saw Neji, who had been upside down and face first embedded in the wall. Uzumaki Naruto is the winner. Everyone applauded as Naruto dashed to the stairs leading to the other applicant's location, while some medics hurried to retrieve Neji. Genma said. The cage block. Hey, the crowd is wild, said the cage. Hiruzen remarked, yes, it was a rousing battle. No, I think they are more excited about the upcoming battle. For all the interested shinobi lords and rulers, there isn't a more anticipated match. Has he arrived yet, by the way? Rado leaned into Hiruzen's ear as the cage asked. That's the thing, we still haven't had any news of Sasuke, considering Orochimaru's involvement. Perhaps it would be better to announce a forfeit now, before the crowd becomes rowdy, he said quietly. Stans, what's happening? Go ahead and begin the next game, a man shouted. How long do you think you'll keep us waiting? One more shouted. Sakura, Ino, and Stans. What's happening? Is Sasuke-kun still absent? Did Ino ask. Sasuke-kun, Sakura pondered, box of applicants. What might he be up to? Is he not even coming? Shikamaru inquired. Shino remarked, the wise man does not court danger, a wise choice. What are you guys discussing? Without a doubt, he will come. But where the hell are you? If you don't show up soon, you'll be disqualified, Naruto said before giving it some thought. The cage block. Sasuke will be eliminated by forfeit because there is no other option and the rules demand it, said Hiruzen. Box of applicants. What are we going to do? Our plan is ruined without him, Kankuro muttered. Tamari remarked, this is beginning to look bad. Baki recalled what Gaara had said and thought, don't tell me. I'm going to verify my existence. As Gaara remembered the time he had spied on Kakashi and Sasuke's training, he thought, man. I can't believe it. I really hope Gaara didn't kill the boy. Rewind, Kakashi said, once more, Sasuke, before he became aware of something. What is it? Kakashi turned to face the big rock that Gaara was hiding behind as Sasuke asked. I can tell you're there because you're radiating bloodlust. Come on out, would you? Kakashi said and Gaara came out from behind the rock. It's you. The end of the flashback. Hokage. Dono, I ask you to stay the declaration of Uchiha Sasuke's forfeit just a bit longer. The Cage responded. Pardon me, but shinobi who are not on time are not capable of becoming chunin, regardless of their level of skill. Unless we can satisfy the shinobi lords and rulers assembled here with a straightforward explanation. Rado clarified, I am not aware of any rationale for us to wait for him. I see, but there is sufficient reason. A majority of the shinobi rulers and lords here, including myself, came here almost solely to observe that match. The Cage responded. Rado said, but this boy is the last of the Uchiha clan, and as leader of the Land of Wind, I beseech you to allow him to face Gaara. The Cage responded. Sir? Gazing at the elderly Hokage, Rado inquired. Very well, we'll postpone the match, to wait for Sasuke. Hiruzen pondered. Sasuke may never show up, but there's nothing I can do. Hokage. Sama, are you certain? Rado inquired. Tell the proctor, Hiruzen called out. Rado said, defeated, yes, sir, and then walked away. Well, Cage. Dono, you don't usually act like this. I'm shocked, I must say, Hiruzen remarked. Why is that? There is no better opponent than Uchiha if our goal is to demonstrate to all of these prospective customers the caliber of our village's shinobi. How could I let this fantastic opportunity slip through my fingers? Said the Cage. The arena Rado turned to the audience after concluding his explanation, and Genma said, okay, before he said, everyone, one of the match's contenders has yet to show up. Therefore, we will postpone this match and move on to the next one that is scheduled. Kurenai, Asuma, and stands. What on earth could Sasuke be doing? Asuma didn't ask anyone in particular. Sakura, Ino, and stands. All right. Sasuke-kun won't have to give up, Ino cried out. Box of applicants. Naruto exhaled a sigh of relief and thought, that's a relief? Hey, you mean they've moved up my match? Shikamaru shouted. The arena. All right. Then Kankuro and Aburame Shino will be the next pair. Come down, please. Genma uttered those words. Box of applicants. This match is completely pointless, and more importantly, if I give the enemy access to Crow's hidden mechanisms so soon, it could ruin the plan. Kankuro thought this before turning to face Tamari. Then he looked down at Genma and exclaimed, I withdraw. After that, Tamari removed her fan from her back, unfolded it, and waved it to create a wind gust before jumping on top of it and sailing down toward the ground. The arena, Kurama no Kyubi. Since this battle is largely canon, I'll just skip it completely. Since there aren't any holes in the ground for Tamari to use, he gets trapped in Shikamaru's shadow. I'll let you imagine how the battle plays out, and if you want, you could even write a fanfic about it. Tamari, who had been imprisoned in Shikamaru's shadow, approached Shikamaru before coming to a halt. Kiba, Hinata, Katetsu, Azumo, and stands. The entire crowd became engrossed in the match before they realized it, Katetsu thought. Azumo thought, this kid who hadn't left an impression turns out to be a complete dark horse. Sakura, Ino, Choji, and the stands, Kurama no Kyubi. Choji arrived close to the beginning of the game. Go for it, Ino shouted. The arena Tamari was forced to follow suit after Shikamaru lifted his arm into the air, and he exclaimed, that's it, I'm done, I give up. Sakura, Ino, Choji, and stands. What? How in the hell did you say that? Surprised, Ino said. You really don't know anything about Shikamaru, do you? I told you he was going to quit. As he kept eating his chips, Choji uttered those words. The arena? What? Temari inquired. I won't be able to hold you for more than 10 seconds because I expended too much chakra performing all those Kage-main in quick succession. I believe I'm running out of time, even though I have about 200 more moves planned. And I think one match is enough. This fighting stuff is becoming monotonous, Shikamaru remarked. What a weird kid, Genma thought, and then she said, Temari is the winner. Then, as he uttered the words, "Aw man, I'm beat," Shikamaru's shadow separated from Temari's and returned to Shikamaru. Sakura, Ino, Choji, and Stan's, oh no, what a waste. Why? He might have turned into a Chunin. Ino uttered those words. Choji said, Shikamaru's Shikamaru, Kurenai, Asuma, and Stan's. Does Shish have the will to fight? Kurenai inquired. Asuma remarked, I really don't know, it's a mystery. It's a case of winning the battle, but losing the match, Kurenai thought. And yet, that kid's knowledge and strategy are already definitely beyond genin level. If this had been an actual mission with him as a member of a basic 4-man platoon, Shikamaru's victory would have been assured when he captured Temari. Asuma thought, it's disappointing that he doesn't seem eager to fight, but, you could say that it's because he has the ability to coolly analyze any and all situations. Because he is thoroughly aware of his own knowledge and skills, he doesn't panic or become hot-headed in the middle of battle. And that's how, even if he finds himself in the worst fix, he can clearly retreat. I suspect, in terms of the psychological profiles deemed essential in Chunin, Shikamaru's got the most important one, the disposition of a natural leader, Asuma thought. Kiba, Hinata, Katetsu, Azumo, and Stan's, if we assess him as a platoon leader, the ability to protect and safely get one's soldiers out of danger is even more important than carrying out one's mission, Azumo stated. In the case of intelligence gathering, completing the mission, but getting wiped out is not a viable option, unless you can balance risks and sacrifices against the mission and proceed with survival as your foremost concern. You don't have what it takes to be a Chunin, said Katetsu. Accordingly, even though Hyuga and Naruto would make excellent genin, they are not qualified. Shikamaru gave up too soon, in my opinion, but what do you think? Said Azumo. What am I thinking? I believe he has more potential than Naruto to become a Chunin, Katetsu remarked. The arena. As Dosu exited the arena and made his way to the center, Shikamaru entered the arena and made his way back to the applicant box. Genma stated, Temari vs Dosu Kinuda is the next match. The sound amplifier on Dosu's arm sent a wave of sound into Temari's ear, causing her to take a few steps back before leaping away. Dosu charged at Temari and swung his arm, but Temari blocked it with her fan. Before noticing the cracks on Dosu's melody arm, she thought, let's see, if I get too close, he'll use that thing on his arm. Good thing I'm better at long range combat anyway. Wait a minute, that's it, he'll be powerless without that device on his arm. Dosu shielded himself by holding his arms in front of him as Temari unfolded the fan and waved it, saying, Kamaitachi no Jutsu. However, the sound amplifier broke and the cracks on his melody arm grew larger. Nani? He thought before he was knocked unconscious by the winds. Temari, Victor. The audience applauded when Genma made the announcement. Outside of Konoha Stadium, two men were on guard outside the stadium when they saw approaching individuals. Oh. One of the men said, You're Sakura, Ino, Choji, and Stan's. As Sakura glanced around, she thought, he's still not here, Sasuke-kun. Outside of Konoha Stadium, sirs, good to see you, come in now, please. As they both pointed to the gate leading into the stadium, one of the two men said, Go, Roger. Lee saluted and remarked, All right, come on, Lee. Guy uttered those words. Oh. Lee looked at his idol and said, Yes, sir. One of the two men remarked, Almost all of the first round battles have concluded. Only Uchiha Sasuke vs Gaara remains, said the other one. What about the fight between Neji and Naruto-kun? Lee inquired. One of the two men said, That's the interesting thing, Hyuga lost, to the surprise of Guy and Lee. Lee thought, Naruto-kun defeated Neji, and then he said, I see. Nice work, Naruto-kun. Guy thought, Lee, you are such a great kid. Blocked cage. Rado muttered, We've finally heard from Kakashi-san. Box of applicants Konkuro exclaimed. Hey, it's almost time. Is he really going to come? As Tamari leapt up to where the applicants were. I have no doubt that he will arrive. Gaara uttered those words. The arena was suddenly filled with a whirl of leaves, and Kakashi and Sasuke had finally made their appearance. Kakashi said, "Ah, so sorry we're late, what's your name?" Genma inquired. According to Sasuke, Uchiha, Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, Choji, and stands. Sasuke.kun, Sakura pondered, box of applicants. Even though he has caused inconvenience to everyone, Shikamaru thought, hey, acting all high and mighty. Sakura, Ino, Choji, and stands Ino said, hey, isn't that, first? Oh, it's Sasuke. Well, as he and Guy arrived, Lee said. Lee. San. Sakura cried out, box of applicants. Gaara remarked, see, he came. The arena, well, despite the dazzling entrance, don't tell me that Sasuke lost by forfeit. See, I told you we'd be late, Sasuke, Kakashi said, scratching the back of his head. Perhaps your tardiness spreads. Sheesh, Genma uttered those words. So, what's going on? Kakashi inquired. You're safe, don't worry. Sasuke's bout was rescheduled. Genma stated, his match was not forfeited. Oh, that's good. Well done. Kakashi uttered those words before he and Sasuke turned to face Gaara. Guy, Lee, Sakura, Ino, Choji, and stands, we. Sasuke. Kun. With a loud cheer, Ino exclaimed. Choji reflected, she was all for Shikamaru a few minutes ago, and now she's all for Sasuke, poor Shikamaru. Box of applicants Shikamaru thought, well, I have to admit, I've been kind of looking forward to this match too. Guy, Lee, Sakura, Ino, Choji, and stands, hi, Sakura. You have a pretty amazing team. Even though Sasuke.kun is a member of the Uchiha elite, I never thought Naruto would defeat Hyuga Neji, and everyone was eager to watch his match. Ino uttered those words. As Lee gazed down at the ground, he thought, Sasuke is fighting that Tsuna ninja Gaara, whom I was helpless against, and Naruto.kun won against Neji, whom I have always wanted to defeat. Why am I so jealous? Lee, Guy thought. The arena Genma said, Gaara, come down. Box of applicants, shish. Shoot, Tamari thought, I haven't seen Gaara this well in a long time. Hey Gaara, don't forget about the plan, all re. But Tamari covered his mouth before Konkuro could say another word. He will kill you if you speak to him now. Before Gaara started to descend the stairs, she muttered. Alongside Gaara, two Kusa ninja unexpectedly moved to block Gaara's path as he was moving through the hallways. Halt. One of them uttered those words. Low-level tournaments like this Chunin exam are ideal for gambling, you know, there are a number of lords who have come just for that reason. The other person responded. The first one said, and so, this match, we want you to lose it, before sand erupted from Gaara's gourd, crushing them both. Gaara then carried on as if nothing had happened. Guy, Lee, Sakura, Ino, Choji, and stands, hey, Guy. Lee. How are you doing right now? As he emerged behind Guy and Lee using Shunshin, Kakashi uttered those words. Kakashi. Guy uttered those words. Kakashi. Sensei. Sakura uttered those words. Oh, I apologize. Did you not feel anxious? I apologize for not staying in contact, Kakashi said. Oh yeah, Ino thought. She'll get mad, Sakura will. It's okay. I can't see it very well from up here, Ino thought as she looked down at Sasuke, surprised by what Sakura said. Her sensei was drawn to her statement, Kakashi. Sensei, that mark, on Sasuke. Kun's neck, it's still. Kakashi assured her, it's nothing to worry about. Mark? Ino asked herself, unsure of what they were discussing. Then Kakashi glanced around the stadium and saw that there were only 8 Anbu. This enormous stadium has only 8 Anbu. Why is Hokage Sama thinking that 2 platoons are insufficient? Silently, he said. Well, not knowing how the enemy is going to act, the Anbu have probably also been dispersed and stationed around key parts of the village, Guy replied. Box of applicants Naruto's ears perked up a little because he had used the super. hearing he had acquired at the first seal to overhear Kakashi and Guy's conversation. Enemy? Are they talking about that Orochimaru guy? Is he here? Naruto asked himself before deciding to go speak with his sensei in order to learn more about the situation and to explain what Gaara is to Kakashi. Hi, Naruto. Where are you heading? Before deciding to follow the blonde, Shikamaru inquired. The arena. Start. As Sasuke leapt back, Genma said, and sand burst from Gaara's gourd. Just before Gaara had a severe headache and raised his hand to his forehead, he thought, so this is the sand Kakashi was talking about. Please, don't be so angry, Ka-san, he replied. What is he talking about? Sasuke thought, weird. Earlier, I gave you blood that didn't taste good, did I not? I apologize, but don't worry, it will be really delicious this time, Gaara remarked. Box of applicants Konkuro stated, the conversation has already begun. This is not good. I've never seen Gaara so worked up before a battle even started, that's how much of an opponent Sasuke is, Temari replied. Baki stands when Baki saw that Gaara's headache subsided with a last throb of pain, he remarked, it seems to have settled down. The arena Gaara merely said, come. Sasuke remarked, here I come. He then drew 2 shuriken and threw them at Gaara, but as the shuriken struck a column of sand that had formed from the ground, it transformed into a clone of Gaara. Box of applicants. Asuna Bunshin appeared out of his sand shield. Temari uttered those words. The arena the Suna Bunshin then threw a wave of sand at the Uchiha from its stomach as Sasuke charged at Gaara. Sasuke leapt into the air to avoid the sand, but the Bunshin threw 2 shuriken at the genin. So Sasuke threw 2 more and hit the 2 that the clone had thrown. As Sasuke got closer to the ground, he kicked the Bunshin, but the clone smirked as he swung the back of his left arm into the clone's neck. The Uchiha then landed on the ground with his hands, but pushed off to land on his feet before he swung the back of his left arm into the clone's neck. You can't dodge now. Sasuke uttered the words, fireball, before a red glyph materialized beneath his feet. 3 tiny balls of heated oxygen then shot straight into the Suna Bunshin, turning it into glass that the Uchiha could easily break through. A wall of sand appeared in front of Sasuke as he rushed at the brown-haired Jinchuriki. However, the Uchiha smirked and disappeared, and Gaara's eyes widened upon realizing that Sasuke was now behind him. Before Sasuke struck him in the face with such force that the sand armor cracked and the Jinchuriki flew backwards before the sand caught him, Gaara thought, fast, just like him. Sakura, Ino, Choji, Lee, Guy, Kakashi, and stands. He's fast, Guy thought, nearly as fast as Lee's average speed. Lee thought, his stance matches my taijutsu image. The arena. Is that your armor made of sand? Sasuke asked as he had assumed a taijutsu stance, the same one that Lee's, come. The Uchiha hideout 2 men were strolling through the Uchiha clan's old house. They were both wearing strange straw hats and black robes with a red cloud pattern. One of them had a big, bandaged sword on his back, and the other had red eyes with 3 black tormos in each. Are you certain this is the location? The person brandishing the sword inquired. A place under the Uchiha's banner. As they entered what looked like a throne room, the person with the red eyes said, I'm sure this is the place. The one with the sword looked around and said, there's nothing here, this isn't the place. You're not correct. As he passed the throne and came to a stop in front of a poster with the kanji for Kitsune and 8 tormoi. Like marks surrounding it, as well as some words written in the angelic language directly beneath the kanji, the man with the red eyes said, and his eyes began to spin as the tormos abruptly formed a windmill pattern. He used his eyes to read, hold up the sacred ring of the angels to see the path. The next seal had been located, and it was now time to go retrieve the chosen one.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.